Chapter 193. Madman, madman, what's going on? Honorable Xianxia gulped and asked. He was too shocked. After disappearing for a few days, Chu Kuangren returned with the godly phoenix. What exactly had happened? Honorable teacher, I felt something a few days ago, so I went out and met the godly phoenix in a volcano. Chu Kuangren made up stories. No one knew where the godly phoenix came from anyway, so he could say whatever he wanted. Everyone's eyes turned red with envy when they heard what he said. Felt something? He brought the godly phoenix back just by going out. *CK, this is destiny. This godly phoenix belonged to Chu Kuangren the moment it was born. Everyone could not help but be shocked at that thought. A divine beast's fate is extremely noble, but Chu Kuangren managed to get it to acknowledge him as its master. Doesn't that mean his fate is even more noble than a divine beast? Oh my god, this is too scary. Is he really human? Is he really an immortal? Everyone was shocked, but Honorable Xianxia could not help but laugh out loud. The heavens have blessed our Black Heaven sect with a divine beast. This is great. Kuangren, get ready, the inauguration ceremony is about to begin. Yes, honorable teacher. Under everyone's envious gaze, Chu Kuangren walked into the palace. Inside, Lil Bing and Lan Yu had already rushed over upon hearing the news. Master, quickly change your clothes. The ceremony is about to begin. Lil Bing was holding a set of clothes in her hand. It was prepared for Chu Kuangren to use during the ceremony. Outside the palace, some people were still immersed in the shock of Chu Kuangren's appearance on the godly phoenix. They could not recover from their shock for a long time. With Chu Kuangren's talent and luck, I don't believe that he won't be able to become an emperor in the future, an honorable said. That's right. It seems like we should avoid being enemies with the Black Heaven sect. With Chu Kuangren, the Black Heaven sect will definitely prosper. That's right. Sai, this era is destined to be Chu Kuangren's era. Then what's the point of our existence? Ao Chang, Gu Chang'e, Lin Batian, and the other Sky Prides looked at each other and smiled bitterly. Amitba, Almsgiver Chu is indeed an unprecedented genius, but there is no need to be discouraged. After all, there are people who will become emperors in this era, but it doesn't mean that only one person can become an emperor. A Grand Master from the Thunder Sound Temple of the Sage Orthodoxy said. That's right. The saint once said that this world of great competition is an unprecedented change. The emergence of the great Tao is like adding oil to a raging fire. There might even be a prosperous scene where multiple emperors coexist in the world. The Spirit Illusion Holy Land Supreme Exalts said with anticipation in his eyes. Hearing this, the other heaven's favorites regained some confidence. At this moment, the palace gate opened. Chu Kuangren walked out. Everyone looked over, and they were instantly shocked. His long black hair was draped behind him like smoke, and he wore a hollow jade crown on his head. He wore a moon-white, wide-sleeved robe that was embroidered with exquisite patterns and auspicious beasts using golden threads. Around his waist was a white belt with a jade inlaid on it. On the right was a golden tassel, and on the left was the Kuan Wu sacred sword. Long black boots embroidered with auspicious clouds. Chu Kuangren's brand new attire made his almost flawless face and otherworldly temperament to the extreme. As bright as the sun and moon in my arms, as bright as a jade tree in the wind, as solemn as the waves in the pines, as bright as the lightning beneath the rocks, speak in human language. He's 2F** King Handsome. There's no one else in the entire firmament star who can match his temperament and looks. Not only is he talented, his luck is strong, and his looks are flawless. TSK, what a monster. Some of the female cultivators looked at Chu Kuangren with infatuation. A gentleman's words are as gentle as jade. In his house, he messes with my heart. Some of the female cultivators could not help but mutter. Chu Kuangren slowly walked out of the palace. At the same time, Daoist rhymes reverberated in the surroundings. One by one, the Black Heaven sect disciples bowed and saluted him. They lined up on both sides to form a passage with a high platform at the end. Honorable Xianxia sat on the high platform and looked at him with gratification. Chu Kuangren walked towards the high platform and stood beside Honorable Xianxia. I, Honorable Xianxia, the 9th sect leader of the Black Heaven sect, officially pass on my position to Chu Kuangren. My fellow cultivators, the sun, moon, mountains, and rivers, please bear witness that from today onwards, Chu Kuangren is the 10th sect leader of the Black Heaven sect. After that, Honorable Xianxia took out a sword-shaped jade token and handed it to Chu Kuangren. This was the token of the Black Heaven sect leader, the Black Heaven sword token. Chu Kuangren stretched out his hands and took the sword token respectfully. Your disciple will not disappoint you, honorable teacher. I will wholeheartedly take care of the Black Heaven sect. The descendant's self-sword at his waist suddenly unsheathed and hovered in the air. Then, a surge of sword-based Daoist rhyme soared into the sky. With me around, no one can bully the Black Heaven sect. With me around, everyone in the Black Heaven sect will rise to greatness. With me around, the Black Heaven sect will prosper forever. With me around, the heavens, the earth, the sun, and the moon shall bear witness, and all deities shall hear. In the distance, the mysterious Heaven Sword Mountain seemed to have been summoned, and sword hymns echoed endlessly. Countless long swords flew into the sky and moved through the clouds. Tens of thousands of sword intents intertwined in the sky, creating a magnificent and majestic scene. The sword intent of the Sword Mountain and Chu Kuangren's Daoist rhyme resonated with each other, and an unparalleled domineering aura swept across the entire area in an instant. Everyone looked at the white-robed figure on the high platform and was shocked. The eyes of the Black Heaven sect disciples were filled with fanaticism and admiration. In the distance, Elder Ruyan and the others were extremely pleased. Deep within the Black Heaven sect, in a few thatched cottages, a white-haired old man suddenly opened his eyes and looked in the direction of the inauguration ceremony with a smile. His smile grew wider and wider until he could not help but laugh out loud. With this person here, the Black Heaven sect will prosper. Carefree laughter came from the other cottages as well. God bless the Black Heaven sect. This young man is really adorable. It was worth it for the 7th forefather to drag his heavenly deterioration 5 body into the world to protect him. Speaking of which, the 7th forefather is really lucky this time. With the heavenly deterioration 5 gone, he's even younger than us. I guess it won't be long before he ascends as well. Very good, very good. Chu Kuangren stood on the high platform in his peerless white robe. With the sword order in his hand, sword-based Daoist rhyme emanated from his body and his sleeves fluttered in the wind. He truly had feelings for the Black Heaven sect. Even if he was helpless before, now that he had assumed the position of sect leader, he had the responsibility to bring glory to the Black Heaven sect. Greetings, sect leader. Greetings, sect leader. The group of Black Heaven sect disciples knelt on one knee before Chu Kuangren. Not far away, the elders bowed as well. Greetings, sect leader. Chu Kuangren nodded slightly and kept the sword order away. As the sword-based Daoist rhyme dissipated, the Sword Mountain in the distance also returned to its peaceful state. The sacred lands of Serene Wisdom, Taishu Temple, Thunder Temple, and other sage orthodoxies representatives stepped forward to congratulate him. Greetings, sect leader Chu. With sect leader Chu around, I believe the Black Heaven sect will definitely prosper. That's right. With sect leader Chu's talent, the Black Heaven sect will definitely prosper. Congratulations, sect leader Chu. If sect leader Chu has time in the future, feel free to visit our Taishu temple. We can discuss the cooperation between our 2 sects and develop together. In the face of everyone's congratulations, Chu Kuangren smiled and responded to them one by one. Although he was still immature, he already had the demeanor of an orthodoxy's leader. Chapter 194. Chu Kuangren had taken over as the Black Heaven sect leader. The crowd congratulated him. At that moment, a golden chariot that was radiating rays of light arrived from afar. It exuded an extraordinary Daoist rhyme. Around the carriage were armored imperial guards. Every single one of them exuded the aura of someone who had been through hundreds of battles. The crowd looked over and was shocked. 6 godly horses pulling the chariot? Only the royal family of the royal Azure dynasty can enjoy such treatment. Which noble of the dynasty is this? If Gu Chang'e is here, who else could it be? Gu Chang'e was surprised as well. However, he recognized the chariot and knew who it was. The chariot's curtain was lifted, and a beautiful lady in a gorgeous phoenix robe walked out. It was Princess Linglong. It's her. It's normal for her to attend Chu Kuangren's inauguration ceremony. After all, he's her fiancé. The crowd discussed. Princess Linglong got off the chariot and smiled at Chu Kuangren. Fiancé, I'm late. Please forgive me. You're welcome, Princess. Your attire today is quite nice. Princess Linglong sized Chu Kuangren up with a glimmer in her eyes. She could not help but compliment him. You flatter me, Princess. Since when was he not nice? Today, I'm here with a decree from my father. Princess Linglong took out an imperial decree and an honorable aura emanated from it. The people of the royal Azure dynasty immediately knelt. Chu Kuangren stood still and looked at Princess Linglong with a smile. Your Highness, I don't have to kneel, do I? Of course. In the past, he did not have to kneel before the royal Azure dynasty king. Now that he was the Black Heaven sect leader, his status was on par with the royal Azure dynasty, so he did not have to kneel. By the will of the heavens, fiancé Chu Kuangren is a man of virtue and talent. I'm impressed and hereby confer you the title of King Equal. Princess Linglong opened the imperial decree and read it. The crowd was shocked when they heard that. The people of the royal Azure dynasty, especially, were dumbfounded. King Equal. That was a title that was on par with the ruler of a country. Since ancient times, only 2 or 3 people had received that title. Now, it was given to Chu Kuangren. Prince Consort, accept the decree. Princess Linglong stepped forward and handed the imperial edict to Chu Kuangren. Thank you, Your Majesty. Chu Kuangren accepted the imperial edict without hesitation. You are still calling me king, Princess Linglong said with some resentment. Then, please thank our father for me. Chu Kuangren said as he rubbed his nose. Upon hearing this, Princess Linglong beamed with joy. Even the blooming of 100 flowers could not compare to the smile on her face. Many male cultivators couldn't help but sigh upon seeing this. This Chu Kuangren is a winner in life. This is too infuriating. What cultivators seek is wealth, companions, techniques, and land. He alone has them all, and everything is of the highest quality. How can I not be angry? At this moment, a woman walked out from the crowd. This person was dressed in white and had a tranquil smile on his face, making people feel as if they were bathing in the spring breeze. When everyone looked over, they were all surprised. She was the holy maiden of the School of White Lotus. Other than attending the ceremony, the School of White Lotus has come to the Black Heaven sect this time to inform the bachelor sage of something else, the White Lotus Maiden Sage said with a faint smile. What is it? The White Lotus Maiden Sage took out a white ancient edict that was engraved with white lotus patterns. A mysterious Daoist rhyme emanated from the ancient edict. According to the leader's decree, from today onwards, the bachelor sage will officially be promoted to the supreme elder of the School of White Lotus. His treatment will be the same as the leader's. Bachelor sage, no, supreme elder, please accept this edict. Everyone was completely dumbfounded at this. Was it not enough that they had a ruler equal, now they had a supreme elder as well? *CK, what the hell was going on? Chu Kuangren was slightly surprised as well, but after some thought, he accepted the edict. Please thank the leader for me. You're too kind, elder. The White Lotus Maiden Sage smiled. When the people from the other orthodoxies saw this, they could already guess what was going on. If Chu Kuangren is still the School of White Lotus Bachelor Sage and the fiancé of the Royal Azure Dynasty after taking over the Black Heaven sect leader's position, it would undoubtedly lower the Black Heaven sect status to the other 2 orthodoxies. That's right. That's why the Royal Azure Dynasty and the School of White Lotus would elevate Chu Kuangren's status in their orthodoxies to maintain their alliance with the Black Heaven sect and deepen their relationship with Chu Kuangren. Oh, I see. Many people pondered for a while before they figured out the reason behind the two orthodoxies' actions. Chu Kuangren was now the Black Heaven sect's sect leader. How would the higher-ups of the Black Heaven sect be happy to have a sect leader like him become a bachelor sage or the fiancé of another orthodoxies? Did that not mean that they would have to lower their heads to them? That was why the two orthodoxies made Chu Kuangren a ruler equal and a supreme elder. That position was not any lower than the dynasty lord or the sect leader. Although they understood the reason behind it, they still found it hard to believe. Within a day, he had become a sect leader, a ruler equal, and a supreme elder. It was truly shocking. Today is not only the Black Heaven sect's inauguration ceremony, but it's also the day that the three sage orthodoxies will publicly form an alliance in front of the many forces. That's right. With Chu Kuangren around, the three sage orthodoxies will definitely be closely linked. They will rise or fall together. Chu Kuangren is amazing. The crowd was amazed. At that moment, outside the Black Heaven sect's mountain entrance, a majestic sword-based Daoist rhyme erupted and swept in all directions. Everyone felt the sword-based Daoist rhyme and looked towards the Black Heaven sect's mountain entrance. They saw a middle-aged man in a green robe standing with his hands behind his back. That sword-based Daoist rhyme was coming from him. I'm Murong Feng. I'm here to challenge the 100 Sword Spectrum's number 1, Chu Kuangren. Chu Kuangren, please show yourself. The middle-aged man's thunderous roar echoed throughout the Black Heaven sect. Everyone who came to watch the ceremony was surprised. In the crowd, Daoist Murong Xian's face turned pale. It's him, the 100 Sword Spectrum's number 2, Murong Feng from the Black Warrior domain. 1 mountain, 1 sect, and 2 families. This man is the Murong clan's number 1 swordsman below the sages, Murong Feng. I heard that even the Murong clan's current clan head is no match for him. If it weren't for the fact that he doesn't want to be the clan head, he would have been the clan head a long time ago. I can't believe he's here to challenge Chu Kuangren on such a special day. TSK, if Chu Kuangren is defeated by this man, his reputation as a sect leader will be greatly diminished. Everyone looked at Chu Kuangren, waiting to see what he would do. Honorable teacher, did we send an invitation to the Murong clan? Chu Kuangren asked Honorable Xianqi. Honorable Xianqi shook his head and said, the Murong clan is in the Black Warrior domain. It's so far away, I can't be bothered to send them off. Besides, the relationship between the 1 mountain, 1 sect, and 2 families was not harmonious. Sending them to watch the ceremony would only make things difficult for them. Since there's no such thing, I'll send him away now. Chu Kuangren smiled. Then, his figure turned into a stream of light and disappeared on the spot. Not many people in the crowd could catch his movement. He's so fast. While everyone was still in shock, Chu Kuangren had already arrived at the mountain entrance, facing the 100 Sword Spectrum's number 2. As soon as they met, their sword-based Daoist rhymes collided. Chapter 195. One was ranked first in the 100 Sword Spectrum while the other was ranked second. Both of them were top-notch swordsmen below the sages. When the 2 surges of sword-based Daoist rhymes collided, the resulting shockwave sent the surrounding rocks and plants flying like a hurricane. Murong Feng's expression changed the moment his sword-based Daoist rhymes collided with Chu Kuangren. He was horrified. Chu Kuangren's Daoist rhymes had completely suppressed him. How can his Daoist rhymes be so strong? Murong Feng could not believe it. He had forgotten that Chu Kuangren could spar with a sage. How could an honorable realm cultivator compare to his sword-based Daoist rhymes? It was the same even for honorable supremes. Today is a joyous day for the Black Heaven sect. I don't want to wield my sword on this day. If you want to challenge me, sure, but pick another day to come again, Chu Kuangren said. Murong Feng had heard about Chu Kuangren taking over as the Black Heaven sect leader, so he knew what he meant by a joyous day. I've come from afar just to witness your sword Dao. I won't stop until I've achieved my goal. Your Excellency, please enlighten me. Murong Fang's eyes lit up. He no longer cared about Chu Kuangren's identity as a junior, and the sword chi within his body erupted. The sword chi was like a tornado that swept towards Chu Kuangren. You're asking for it. Chu Kuangren raised an eyebrow. He raised his hand and gathered a majestic amount of earth chi. When he unleashed a palm attack, the power of the godly mountain erupted. When the sword chi and earth chi collided, the ground instantly exploded. As the two different Daoist rhymes intertwined, Murong Fang's eyes flashed with battle intent as he praised, "What a great palm technique." He was indeed worthy of being ranked second in the 100-sword spectrum. Ordinary honorable supremes would have been pushed back by Chu Kuangren's palm attack, but he did not move an inch. The long sword in his hand shone with a brilliant sword ray. It was a sacred sword. The second in the 100-sword spectrum, second only to Descendant Self-Sun contending sword. Slash. Murong Feng leaped into the air and gathered the sword-based Daoist rhymes around him. A gigantic sword shadow appeared out of thin air with a majestic amount of Daoist rhymes. Like a meteor, it slashed towards Chu Kuangren. The terrifying sword pressure caused the entire mountain gate of the Black Heavens sect to tremble. The cultivators who rushed over from all directions were also amazed. Good sword Dao. As expected of the second-ranked existence in the heavenly sword spectrum. That sword is something that even an utmost exalt would find hard to defend against. No wonder Murong Feng is the #1 swordsman in the Murong clan apart from the sages. Just based on this sword technique alone, he can be called the #1 swordsman in the entire firmament star apart from the sages. Honorable Xian Qi was among the crowd as well. He looked at the sword that was descending from the sky with a serious look in his eyes. Even though he had advanced to a quasi-sage, he could still feel a tremendous amount of pressure from that sword. It was not without reason that Murong Feng's ranking on the 100-sword spectrum was higher than his before he underwent his heavenly tribulation. Kuangren. The sword chi on Honorable Xian Qi's body circulated as he stared at the sword, ready to help Chu Kuangren at any time. However, a terrifying surge of Daoist rhyme erupted from Chu Kuangren's body, and the Descendant Self-Sword at his waist let out a bright sword ray. With a slash of the sword, an emperor's aura appeared. The Daoist rhyme contained in Murong Feng's sword was being suppressed. This was an emperor suppressing all laws. Heaven-slaying sword-drawing technique. Chu Kuangren shouted. The Descendant Self-Sword slashed across the sky. The dazzling purple sword ray almost covered the entire sky, and its majestic sword-based Daoist rhyme violently crashed into the void like a tsunami. Murong Feng's sword attack was shattered on the spot. The terrifying sword ray landed on his body and sent him flying thousands of meters away before he crashed into a mountain in the distance. He spat out a mouthful of blood before he was buried under countless rocks. There was no movement from him, and no one knew if he was dead or alive. Everyone quickly released their spiritual thoughts to sense around. They saw that Murong Feng was buried under a pile of rocks. His chest rose and fell slightly, and his aura was weak. Although he was not dead, he had lost consciousness. He had been knocked unconscious by a single slash. Everyone gulped as they felt a little horrified. Murong Feng was extremely powerful, and it was not an exaggeration to say that he was the best swordsman below the sages. Yet, he was knocked unconscious by a single slash from Chu Kuangren. Chu Kuangren's strength was just too overwhelming. Even the honorable supremes could not help but feel a chill down their spines. I can't believe he's already this powerful. TSK, what a monster. Chu Kuangren sheathed his Descendant Self-Sword and muttered, I've already told you that I don't want to wield a sword. Why did you have to force me? Look at what happened now. I can't even take a single slash from him. How embarrassing. His voice was not loud, but everyone at the scene, including those who did not have a high cultivation level, could hear him clearly. Everyone could not help but sweat. Not to mention Murong Feng. There were not many below the sage level who could withstand this attack. Everyone, the inauguration ceremony is now over. I've already asked someone to prepare a banquet. Please enjoy yourselves. Honorable Xianxia smiled. When everyone heard that, they no longer cared about Murong Feng. When they arrived at the palace, the banquet was already prepared. Everyone exchanged toasts and toasted each other as the host and guests enjoyed themselves. Brother Xianxia, now that you've let go of the heavy responsibility of being the sect leader, your next step is to hide behind the scenes and accumulate your resources to become a sage. An honorable from the Taishu temple said enviously. I'm indeed going to live in seclusion. However, I still don't know when I'll become a sage. Honorable Xianxia laughed heartily. Generally speaking, after becoming a boundary sage, as long as one accumulated their resources well, it was almost certain that they would become a sage in the future. However, every cultivator had a different understanding of the Tao and different aptitudes, so the time needed to become a sage was different as well. It could be as short as 100 years, or as long as 1,000 years. With Brother Xianxia's aptitude, becoming a sage is only a matter of 100 years. The Honorable from the Taishu temple said. Honorable Xianxia was also a peerless genius when he was young. With his aptitude, since he had successfully passed the ascension, it was not impossible for him to become a sage within 100 years. I hope so. After the banquet ended, the people from the various orthodoxies gradually left. However, everyone did not come to the inauguration ceremony in vain. To be able to see the true face of the godly phoenix was already a blessing of 3 lifetimes. The inauguration ceremony ended just like that. Inside the towering Heaven Palace, Honorable Xianxia and the others were gathered together, and in front of them stood a blood-colored godly phoenix. The godly phoenix was pecking at its feathers, occasionally raising its head to look at Honorable Xianxia and the others before ignoring them. Oh, the godly phoenix. I can't believe I'm able to meet such a divine beast in my lifetime. I'm so lucky. Yeah, it's my first time seeing it too. I wonder what it'll feel like to touch it. I heard that Kuangren has even ridden on it before. I wonder what it'll feel like to ride on the godly phoenix. I really want to give it a try. Don't joke around. This is a divine beast we're talking about. It's extremely noble. Unless it approves of someone, no one else will let it touch it. Everyone was talking at once as they looked at the godly phoenix in awe. At that moment, Chu Kuangren walked over. The godly phoenix immediately dashed towards him when it saw him. Along the way, it bumped into a few elders, causing them to stumble. However, the elders were not the least bit dissatisfied. Instead, they were all smiles. I was hit by a divine beast. So this is how it feels to be hit by a divine beast. Brother. The godly phoenix intimately rubbed itself against Chu Kuangren's body. Chu Kuangren stroked her neck and said sternly, "How could you be so reckless? Stop messing around like this from now on." Chapter 196. I understand, brother. The godly phoenix rubbed against Chu Kuangren's body and said in a crisp voice. Alright, stop rubbing. There are so many people watching, though it's quite comfortable. Chu Kuangren muttered the last part of his sentence. The feathers of the divine phoenix were soft and had a sense of warmth. When it rubbed against him, he felt warm and comfortable. The elders were so shocked that their eyeballs almost fell out of their sockets when they saw how the divine beast was behaving like a pet in front of Chu Kuangren. The chief is the chief after all, easily accomplishing what we couldn't. Admirable, admirable. An elder said. You're still calling him chief disciple? Cough, sect leader, it's the sect leader. It can't be changed in a short time. By the way, Kuangren, does this divine beast have a name? Elder Rian asked curiously. Chu Kuangren shook his head. Not yet. Have you thought it through? All right. Chu Kuangren stroked the godly phoenix's neck and said, seeing how red she is, let's call her Lil Red. No. How can you be so casual? Elder Rian, Honorable Xianxia, and the others were speechless. This was a divine beast. Little Red? If word of this got out, how embarrassing would that be? I think it's pretty good. Lil Red, Lil Red. How pleasing to the ear, and it sounds easier to raise. Chu Kuangren laughed. Do you think you're raising a cat or a dog? Honorable Xianxia rolled his eyes. He finally realized that his disciple was a failure at naming. Then, Master, why don't you choose one? No, I want to be called Xiaohong. This is the name that Big Brother gave me. I want to be called Xiaohong, the divine phoenix suddenly said. Chu Kuangren looked at Honorable Xianxia and the others. Look, he's already agreed. Divine Phoenix. This name is related to one's life. I don't need it to be domineering, but this little red is too shabby. Yeah. Please change to another one. Honorable Xianxia and the others quickly advised. When she thought of the divine phoenix fighting with others in the future and the other party asking her to say her name, she would say, I am Xiao Hong of the Black Heaven sect. The enemies on the other side would probably burst into laughter. No, I have to change. Honorable Xianxia and the others tried to persuade it, but the godly phoenix was unexpectedly stubborn. No matter what name they gave it, it did not want it. I don't want to. I'll just be called Lil Red, the godly phoenix said. That was the first name Chu Kuangren had given her, and it had a special meaning to it. Lan Yu looked at the divine phoenix from the side and understood. After all, Chu Kuangren was the one who gave her her name. Even if it didn't sound good, she still liked it. How about this? Her nickname is Xiao Hong, and her real name is Chu Hong. Chu Kuangren stroked the godly phoenix's feathers and said, Since you're calling me brother, you can follow my surname from now on. The divine phoenix tilted its head. All right, my name is Chu Hong. Honorable Xianxia and the others looked at each other and could only give up. Forget it, forget it. Chu Hong is pretty good. AI, it's a pity that my name is Feng Outyan. How domineering. The name Feng Xiaoyao sounds better. I hope that the divine beast will be able to enjoy the great Tao in the future and live a carefree life. Chu Hong, it's better than Xiao Hong. Thus, the storm of naming mythological beasts subsided. Congratulations, host, for drawing a Starlight Grade Enlightenment card. Huh, a Starlight Grade Enlightenment card? This is good stuff. Chu Kuangren opened his inventory and saw that there were more than 10 Dao Enlightenment cards in the Dao Enlightenment card section. There were silver, gold, and even Starlight Grade cards, and each of them could allow one to enter a state of epiphany. He looked at these enlightenment cards and suddenly had an idea. He left the Daoist palace. The disciples along the way bowed respectfully when they saw him. Greetings, sect leader. Greetings, sect leader. Chu Kuangren did not find it difficult to adapt. From elder senior brother to sect leader, it was just a change of title. As for other matters, there were a few elders to help him. To be honest, other than the change in identity, he did not feel any difference between the sect leader and elder senior brother. Everything was the same. He came to the Black Heaven sect's library. There were countless sword Dao techniques there, and he came here today to realize the idea in his heart. He stepped onto the third floor of the library, picked up a sword Dao book and began to read. In the past, he created his own sage ruler technique in the library, so he knew all the sword Dao techniques in the library by heart. However, in the past few years, his realm of Dao techniques was no longer comparable to before. At this time, when he looked at it again, his understanding of these techniques had deepened, even more than the original creator. He took out a Starlight Grade Enlightenment card and crushed it. Suddenly, he entered a state of epiphany. He started to flip through all the books in the library. With the Dao Enlightenment card and the meditative clarity of self, every sword Dao manual that he had read before was disassembled and reorganized by him. He had a very thorough understanding of it. Half a day later, a surge of sword-based Daoist rhyme rose into the sky in the library. All the Black Heaven sect disciples were startled. It's in the direction of the library. What's wrong? The library again? Huh, why did I say again? This Daoist rhyme is so mysterious. It's the sect leader. The sect leader is going to do something again. Let's go take a look. A group of disciples and elders arrived outside the library. When they saw Chu Kuangren reading, they were not surprised at all. It really is the sect leader. What is the sect leader trying to do this time? Even if the sect leader creates another sage technique, I won't be surprised. This is too normal. Everyone was already immune to the commotion that Chu Kuangren would cause from time to time, so they just stood outside the library and watched without making any noise. Elder Ruyan and the others also came. She was not surprised when she sensed the sword-based Daoist rhyme lingering above the library, but she was curious about what Chu Kuangren would do. In the depths of the Black Heaven sect, in a few thatched cottages. This little guy just became the sect leader yesterday. What is he going to do today? The voice of Black Heaven's third forefather was heard. My disciple has made a fool of himself. Honorable Xianxia, who had just finished building a thatched cottage and joined the group, laughed. Ninth forefather, don't be so smug. The ninth forefather was referring to Honorable Xianxia. Everyone could hear the pride in his words and could not help but feel a little jealous. Although they were all from the Black Heaven sect, Honorable Xianxia was Chu Kuangren's honorable master, so their relationship was definitely closer than theirs. Hey, look, there's a change. At that moment, Black Heaven's third forefather said. In their spiritual thoughts perception, the vast sword-based Daoist rhyme above the library suddenly began to evolve. They saw the sword-based Daoist rhyme flowing and turning into a landscape of mountains and rivers. Within it, there was a sage's aura. This is a sage technique. Black Heaven's third forefather said in surprise. This aura is indeed a sage technique. This little guy is really amazing. I didn't expect him to create another sage technique. Black Heaven's third forefather exclaimed. Although it's not as shocking as his self-created emperor technique, it's still incredible for a battle monarch to create a sage technique. I really don't know how he did it. Wait, there's another change. In the sky above the library, the sword-based Daoist rhyme flowed and created all kinds of visions. There was a sun in the sky, stars changing, all kinds of strange beasts moving, and frost dancing. Each of these phenomena exuded the might of a sage. Every one of them was a sage technique. Chapter 197. The sky above the library was filled with transformations. There were mountains and rivers, majestic auras, the sun and moon rotating, alternating between black and white, and all kinds of strange beasts flying and ferocious chi soaring into the sky. Each of these transformations contained a mysterious Daoist rhyme. Each of them was a sage technique. Everyone gulped. Even if they had some understanding of Chu Kuangren's mystical abilities, they were still shocked by what they saw. These were sage techniques. Even a sage orthodoxy only had a few of them, and they were extremely rare in the outside world. How could Chu Kuangren have so many of them? And they were all self-created. This was just too scary. Elder senior brother, oh no, sect leader, is he really human? F***ck me, 1, 2, 3, 4. 9 sage techniques. No, it's still increasing. 10 sage techniques. Even our Black Heaven sect only has 3 sage techniques. Including the heaven-slaying sword-drawing technique that our sect leader created, we only have 4. Now there are 10 more, maybe even more. How did sect leader do it? Is he really an immortal? In the depths of the Black Heaven sect, the sages in the cottage were also scared to death. The few Black Heaven forefathers were silent for a while. F***ck me, does this guy think sage techniques are cabbages? He just came out of nowhere. This is too crazy. Even though Black Heaven's third forefather had lived for nearly 10,000 years, he was still shocked by Chu Kuangren. Sage techniques could only be created by sages who had a deep understanding of Daoist rhymes. Even for a sage, it would take a lot of effort to create a sage technique. For example, Black Heaven's third forefather had only created one sage technique after so many years, and he had been using it ever since. Yet now, Chu Kuangren had spent half a day to create a bunch of them. How could they not lose their composure when they saw that? He's in a state of epiphany. At that moment, an old voice came from one of the cottages. It was Black Heaven's second forefather, the person with the highest seniority in the Black Heaven sect after the late founding forefather. Even if he's in a state of epiphany, it's unbelievable that he could do this, Black Heaven's third forefather said. Perhaps he's talented to begin with, above the library. Various transformations appeared one after another. There were a total of 12 types, representing 12 types of saint techniques. Everyone was dumbfounded by what they saw. Sect leader is going against the heavens. Elder Rian swallowed her saliva, her eyes filled with indescribable shock. Elder Rian, bring me 12 Dao loading tablets. At that moment, Chu Kuangren's voice came from the library. Hearing this, Elder Rian recovered from her shock and hurriedly left. Not long after, she returned with 12 Dao loading tablets. 12 squarish Dao steels were placed outside the door of the library, and then a sword light suddenly flashed out. The sword light was incomparably majestic, like a vast mountain and river. Bang! The sword light landed on the Dao loading monument, leaving behind a sword mark. Then, it transformed into countless characters. This was a type of saint method. Another strike. The sword light contained the interchanging of the sun and the moon, and the will of endless growth. Following that, a ferocious green dragon soared into the sky. It bared its fangs and brandished its claws, emitting a baleful aura that sent chills down one's spine. The 12 types of saint techniques were displayed by Chu Kuangren one by one, hitting the Dao loading tablets and turning them into countless mysterious characters that were imprinted on them. Today, I will create 12 types of saint techniques. These 12 Dao loading tablets will be placed on the last floor of the library. All true disciples can view and comprehend them on their own, Chu Kuangren said lightly. As soon as this was said, all the disciples suddenly burst into discussion. It really is 12 types of saint techniques. Sect leader is amazing. Only true disciples can go and comprehend them. It seems that I need to be promoted to a true disciple as soon as possible so that I can comprehend these saint techniques. Don't stop me, I'm going to comprehend them later. Me too. All the disciples were extremely happy. Especially the true disciples, they could not wait to immediately sit in front of the Dao loading tablets and comprehend the saint techniques. As for the disciples who were not true disciples, they were not dissatisfied. After all, saint techniques were the foundation of an orthodoxy. It was impossible to spread it so that everyone could learn it. It was reasonable to only allow true disciples to comprehend it. This instead stimulated the motivation of the outer and inner sect disciples to work hard in their cultivation. After a while, Chu Kuangren walked out of the library. He looked calm and emotionless, as if he was not the one who had just created 12 types of saint techniques. Sect leader, you've really given us a big surprise. Elder Rian and the others walked up to him. Yes, all along, our Black Heaven sect has only had 3 types of saint techniques for cultivation. The heaven-slaying sword-drawing technique that sect leader created in the past for offensive purposes, but this is a sage ruler technique and is difficult to comprehend. Now that we have these saint techniques, we can make up for this. 12 saint techniques, sect leader, you're really going against the heavens. In the face of the elders' shocked gazes, Chu Kuangren only smiled lightly. There was not a trace of pride on his face. He knew that the people of the Black Heaven sect lacked offensive sage techniques, which was why he decided to create his own sage technique today. He had comprehended 2 emperor scriptures in succession, and with the addition of the meditational clarity attribute, his understanding of Dao techniques was too deep. After using a Starlight Great Epiphany card, he was able to create 12 types of saint techniques by himself. Moreover, these saint techniques were created based on the various cultivation techniques of the Black Heaven sect, extracting the essence and removing the impurities. The disciples of the Black Heaven sect could cultivate these saint techniques with half the effort. It's a pity that these are just ordinary saint techniques. I originally wanted to create 2 sage ruler techniques, but it seems that my understanding of Dao techniques is still not deep enough, Chu Kuangren murmured. Hearing that, the mouths of Elder Ruyan and the others twitched twice. What kind of joke was that? Creating 12 types of saint techniques in half a day, if that was still considered as not having a deep understanding of Dao techniques, they felt that all the cultivators in the world should collectively commit suicide. It was true. Hearing Chu Kuangren's words, they felt that all these years had been wasted. Sect leader, please don't say such things in the future. It's really too much of a blow, Elder Ruyan said with a bitter smile. Chu Kuangren chuckled. I'm just training your Daoist core. Your Daoist core is about to collapse, sect leader. The few elders wanted to cry but no tears came out. After the 12 types of saint techniques were created, the rest was left to Elder Ruyan and the others to handle. Although they were dealt a blow by Chu Kuangren, the elders were still very surprised. Chu Kuangren even gave them the naming rights for these saint techniques, which made them even more excited. In the depths of the Black Heaven sect, the few forefathers clearly saw the whole process of Chu Kuangren creating his own saint techniques. I've been on the throne for more than 1,000 years, but all of my merits combined are not as good as the 12 saint techniques he created today. One of the forefathers suddenly mocked himself and lamented. I know, right? You know, he just became the sect leader yesterday. With these 12 saint techniques, the foundation of our Black Heaven sect will be greatly strengthened. Our Black Heaven sect has a lucky star. Chapter 198. After Chu Kuangren created his own sage technique, he arrived at a mountain peak in the Black Heaven sect. This mountain peak was very tall, and one could see far and wide from it. Let's do it here. Chu Kuangren nodded and took out a small pagoda. It was the sword gauntlet that he had obtained in the hidden sword canyon. He threw out the sword gauntlet. The sword tower expanded rapidly in the wind. In next to no time, a lofty tower appeared on the mountain peak, and a strand of sword chi shot into the sky, causing the clouds in an area of 5,000 kilometers to roil. Deep within the Black Heaven sect, a few forefathers could not help but be surprised. What the hell is this little fellow up to now? I want to see what other surprises he can give me. That's the sword tower. Black Heaven's third forefather exclaimed in surprise. Sword tower, the sword tower in the hidden sword gorge. Why did he take this out? When Chu Kuangren placed the sword gauntlet on the mountain peak, a surge of sword-based Daoist rhyme emanated and attracted many disciples. This is the sword tower, and it can be used as a training ground. From now on, all disciples can enter the sword tower to verify their cultivation. Chu Kuangren said to the disciples who had just arrived. Everyone was very curious about the sword gauntlet. A successor disciple walked out and said, Sect leader, can I go in and give it a try? Of course. That direct disciple walked into the sword tower excitedly. Everyone saw the light spot that belonged to him appear on the first floor of the sword tower. Soon, he reached the 11th floor. Then, he was teleported out dejectedly. However, his eyes were filled with excitement. Sect leader, the sword gauntlet is really amazing. It can test one's Taoist heart and also test one's combat ability. In the future, you can come whenever you want. Chu Kuangren chuckled. To adapt to the average strength of these disciples, Chu Kuangren made some changes to the sword gauntlet. For example, he removed the invisible barrier from the 1st to the 20th floor and changed it to a faceless swordsman. On the first level, the faceless swordsman would be used to test his combat strength. On the second level, he would use the illusion to test his Dao heart. On the third level, he would test his combat strength. On the fourth level, he would test his Dao heart. As the number of levels increased, so did the difficulty. However, he did not change the 48th and 50th floors. Wanting to pass was still as difficult as ascending to the heavens. I want to go in and give it a try too. Me too. Together. The group of disciples was eager to give it a try, and they continuously rushed into the sword tower. However, apart from the true disciples who were able to reach the 10th floor and above, the majority of the inner and outer disciples could only stay below the 10th floor. With this sword tower, the disciples can test their strength at any time, and they can even test their Dao hearts. It's killing two birds with one stone. In fact, in order to climb to a higher level, the disciples will redouble their efforts in cultivation, forming a good competitive relationship with each other. Not bad, not bad. Chu Kuangren nodded in satisfaction. The greatest opportunity in the Sword Tower, which was the mindful emperor's inheritance, had already been obtained by him. The Sword Tower itself wasn't of much use to him, so he might as well take it out and let the disciples train. The forefathers of the Black Heaven sect naturally understood what Chu Kuangren was doing. They couldn't help but click their tongues in wonder. First it was the sage technique, and now this sword gauntlet. These two actions of his are of great significance to the Black Heaven sect, third forefather said. Not bad. Letting him take over the position of sect master was indeed the right decision. Honorable Xianxia smiled proudly. Black Heaven sect, outside the mountain gate. A pile of rubble suddenly exploded, and a middle-aged man with a dusty face walked out with a confused look on his face. Who am I? Where am I? What am I doing? After a while, the middle-aged man shook his head, and his eyes gradually became clear. He then cursed, F***ck me. I can't believe Chu Kuangren's strength is so strong. He knocked me out with one slash. Say, what time is it now? That man was Murong Feng, who was knocked out by Chu Kuangren. You've been unconscious for 2 days and 1 night. At that moment, a voice came from beside Murong Feng. He turned around, and his expression changed. He then snorted. Murong Xian, why are you here? Murong Xian said, if I wasn't here, you would have been eaten by the beasts. Come to think of it, you should thank me. Have you been in the Black Heaven sect all these years? Murong Feng changed the topic. Yes. No wonder I couldn't find you. Why are you looking for me? Are you going to bring me back to the Murong clan to continue being humiliated by Murong Yu and the others? Murong Xian snorted. Murong Feng frowned. Murong Yu and the others are in the wrong, but you're still a member of the Murong clan. That's undeniable. Don't give me that. The Murong clan has never treated me like family. Even that father of mine has never asked about me. Otherwise, Murong Yu and the others wouldn't have dared to be so unscrupulous. At the mention of this, Murong Xian's eyes revealed a hint of sadness. The Black Heaven sect is my home now. I know you're here to bring me back, but I won't go with you. Murong Xian, do you know that the Murong clan's clan trial is coming soon? Murong Feng said. It has nothing to do with me. Then your mother has nothing to do with you? What do you mean? Murong Xian's eyes turned cold. After the clan trial, we'll worship our ancestors, but your mother's identity has always been criticized in the clan. Rumor has it that after the clan trial, the elders plan to move your mother out of the clan tomb. Boom! A violent surge of sword qi suddenly erupted from Murong Xian's body. As if the surrounding plants were affected by his anger, they instantly turned into ashes. My mother is already dead. Why do you still want to disturb her rest? Do you really want my mother to not be able to rest in peace? Murong Xian said with bloodshot eyes. His rage was about to burn away his rationality. The clan tomb was the resting place of the Murong clan's ancestors. Murong Xian's mother was also buried there as the clan leader's concubine. If you want your mother to rest in peace, there's only one way. That is to return with me and get first place in the Murong clan's clan trial. Let the elders see your value and they won't do anything to your mother then, Murong Feng said. Why are you helping me? You're a talent. I can't bear to see you break off all ties with the Murong clan. Returning to the Murong clan is a good thing for both you and the clan. It's impossible for me to return to the Murong clan, but I will participate in the clan trial. I won't let them disturb my mother's rest. Murong Xian said coldly. Inside the towering Heaven Palace, Chu Kuangren was cultivating. He had already reached the perfected Battle Monarch realm back at the Hidden Sword Canyon. He was only one step away from the Honorable Realm. He could even cross over to the next level anytime. However, he did not. He had been accumulating his foundation all this while. He could still kill Honorable Supremes without breaking through. But to break through, he needed to build the Honorable Supreme Foundation level. The foundation of the Exalt realm didn't just rely on spirit energy, it required comprehension of Dao arts as well. Chu Kuangren did not lack the latter. Even most sages could not compare to him in terms of Dao techniques. What he lacked was the former. I have the 5 great supreme foundation levels in my body and the golden jade body support. Even an honorable supreme can't compare to my spiritual power. However, I'm still lacking if I want to form the honorable supreme foundation level. No wonder no one has been able to form the honorable supreme foundation level in the past 150,000 years. If the honorable realm is like this, how difficult would it be to form the sage supreme foundation level? Chu Kuangren murmured. He was very ambitious. Now, not only did he want to form the honorable supreme foundation level, but he also wanted to break through to the sage supreme foundation level. Chapter 199. While Chu Kuangren was cultivating, his communication compass suddenly vibrated. The message was from Elder Ruyan. Huh? Are the people from the White Lotus Society here to ask for help? Chu Kuangren was slightly surprised. He got up and left the towering Heaven Palace, arriving at the Longevity Hall. In the hall was the White Lotus Saintess who had returned. Her white clothes were as gentle as a snow lotus, but her usual tranquil smile was nowhere to be seen on her face. There was some worry and anxiety between her brows. Upon seeing Chu Kuangren, the White Lotus Maiden Sage walked up to him. Greetings, Supreme Elder. There's no need to be so polite. Tell me, what exactly happened? It's like this. On my way back to the cult, I suddenly received a message from the cult. They want me to invite the Great Elder to the White Lotus cult and assist them in suppressing the Hell Beasts, the White Lotus Maiden Saintess said. Wasn't the Hell Beast suppressed by the White Lotus Sage ruler a long time ago? Chu Kuangren said in surprise. According to the ancient legends of the White Lotus Society, there was once a hell demonic beast that wreaked havoc in the countries in the south, but it was suppressed by the White Lotus Sage monarch. Because of this, the White Lotus Sage ruler founded the School of White Lotus. Indeed. However, during this period of time, the seal left behind by the Sage King has been damaged. The demonic beasts have taken the opportunity to attack the seal. Although they are being suppressed by the sages of the cult, the demonic chi is still leaking out, causing chaos. The cult leader has asked me to look for you, Elder. He wants to borrow your White Lotus light of purification to purify the demonic chi. I see. Chu Kuangren nodded slightly. That won't be a problem. Now that the School of White Lotus and the Black Heaven sect were on the same side, it was only right for them to support each other. Chu Kuangren did not reject the offer. After informing Elder Ruyan and the others, he prepared to depart for the School of White Lotus. At this moment, he saw 2 people walking into the Longevity Hall. It's him. Chu Kuangren was slightly surprised because the person who had just arrived was none other than Murong Feng, whom he had knocked unconscious outside the Black Heaven sect's mountain gate 2 days ago. Oh, you're awake. Chu Kuangren chuckled. His attitude made it seem as if he was not the one who had knocked him out. The corner of Murong Feng's mouth twitched. A hint of fear flashed across his eyes as he looked at Chu Kuangren. He was a little afraid of Chu Kuangren. He fainted with a single strike of the sword. He couldn't believe that a battle monarch realm cultivator could possess such strength. It's all thanks to Brother Chu for showing mercy. Otherwise, I'm afraid I would have lost my life, Murong Feng cupped his hands and said. His attitude was much more polite than when he had challenged Chu Yang 2 days ago. Elder Ruyan, the White Lotus Saintess, and the others watched from the side. They couldn't help but sigh. Indeed, if you're not convinced, you have to give them a good beating. Why did you bring Murong Xian here? Chu Kuangren asked. I want to bring him back to the Murong clan, Murong Feng said. Oh. Chu Kuangren did not say anything. He looked at Murong Xian and asked for his opinion. He wanted to see if Murong Xian was forced to do this. Sect leader, I have some matters to attend to at the Murong clan. I need to return and deal with them. I can't stay at the Black Heaven sect for the time being. Murong Xian's face was filled with guilt. In the eyes of others, his actions made it seem like he was betraying the Black Heaven sect and returning to the Murong clan. However, Chu Kuangren only gave him a deep look before he went forward and patted him on the shoulder. He smiled and said, "Go, but you must remember that the Black Heaven sect will always be your strong shield." "Yes, sect leader. Once I'm done with this matter, I'll return as soon as possible." Murong Xian nodded firmly. "Nonsense. The Black Heaven sect is your home. Of course you have to come back." Chu Kuangren jokingly scolded. "You're right, sect leader." After that, Murong Feng left with Murong Xian. Remember, Murong Xian is a member of the Black Heaven sect. If anything happens to him in the Murong clan, I won't forgive you. Before Murong Feng left, Chu Kuangren's cold voice suddenly rang in his ears, causing him to tremble uncontrollably. "What's wrong?" Murong Xian noticed Murong Feng's strange behavior. Since Chu Kuangren had used his spiritual thought to communicate, no one else besides Murong Feng heard it. "No, it's nothing." Murong Feng shook his head with a stiff expression. There was an inexplicable sense of unease in his heart. Was it the right decision for him to visit Murong Xian? He hoped that everything would go smoothly when he returned. Otherwise, who knew what Chu Kuangren would do? "All right, let's go too," Chu Kuangren said to the White Lotus Maiden Sage. Besides him, Lan Yu also went with them to purify the demonic qi. Perhaps her holy radiant physique would be of some use. The few of them hurried to the school of White Lotus. Although they were riding on a ferry boat instead of a horse. At first, Chu Kuangren wanted to ride on the godly phoenix. However, considering that there were too many people, and the prideful nature of the divine beast meant that it would not allow anyone else to ride on it, he gave up on the idea. About 2 days later, the few of them arrived at the Full Moon Kingdom, one of the countries to the south of the Azure Dragon domain. This was also the headquarters of the School of White Lotus. Looking down from the sky, Chu Kuangren noticed that the capital of the Full Moon Kingdom was shrouded in a dark mist that exuded an eerie aura. "This is demonic qi." Chu Kuangren frowned. Demonic qi was also considered spiritual qi. However, it came from the underworld demonic realm, which was incompatible with the living beings of the firmament star. It was harmful to most living beings. "Look, Master." At that moment, Lan Yu pointed at the center of the Full Moon Kingdom's demonic qi. There was a huge white lotus that was formed by countless Daoist patterns floating in the air. It emanated waves of holy qi. There was a lady in the white lotus. She looked peaceful and there was endless Daoist rhymes circulating around her. It was as if she had become one with the white lotus. Below the white lotus was a ferocious dog-like demonic beast with 3 heads and black fur all over its body. Is this the underworld beast? Chu Kuangren had a strange look on his face. A demonic beast from the underworld. A dog with 3 heads. A 3-headed underworld hound? That's right. This is the underworld beast. He has broken through half of the seal. The School of White Lotus Sage is currently suppressing him. The White Lotus Maiden Sage said solemnly. The few of them got off the ferry boat and landed on the streets of the Full Moon Kingdom. Once they landed, they could feel the eerie demonic qi even more clearly. The demonic qi had almost covered half of the Full Moon Kingdom's capital and was still spreading outwards. Meanwhile, the people from the School of White Lotus were trying to dispel the demonic qi. Rays of white light shot out from their hands to dispel the demonic qi. However, compared to the majestic demonic qi, what they did was just a drop in the bucket. All they could do was slow the demonic qi down. In the long run, the demonic qi would eventually spread to the entire capital. Even the entire Full Moon Kingdom and the nearby countries would not be spared. On the streets, countless civilians were kneeling on the ground and praying. God, please protect us. White Lotus above, I hope we can survive this disaster. Besides that, some civilians who had been infected by the demonic chi had lost their minds and were destroying everything around them in a frenzy. The sounds of praying, crying, and smashing, the entire full moon kingdom's capital was in chaos. It was not as peaceful as the last time Chu Kuangren came. Swoosh. A figure walked out of the void. It was Chu Kuangren's protector, Honorable Qing Lan. Looking at everything in front of her, Honorable Qing Lan's eyes were filled with shock and sadness. How did this happen? Sigh, things have changed too quickly. A white-robed lady walked over. It was the White Lotus leader. Chapter 200. Things are changing too quickly. In less than 3 days, this demonic beast has broken through the seal left behind by the sage ruler. A huge amount of demonic chi emanated from its body and affected the entire capital city. Many civilians have been infected by this demonic chi. The White Lotus leader sighed and said, "Were there any signs before this?" Honorable Qing Lan asked. "No. Let's not talk about how the demonic beast broke through the seal. Let's first purify this demonic chi," Chu Kuangren said. The demonic chi that emanated from the three-headed hound was too terrifying. Ordinary civilians would lose their minds the moment they came into contact with it. Even cultivators would lose their minds if they stayed in it for too long. That's why I invited you here, Elder. Our sage is busy suppressing that demonic beast. Only your White Lotus light of purification can effectively dispel the demonic chi, the White Lotus leader said. Alright, let's get started then. Chu Kuangren said. As he walked towards the demonic chi, a mysterious Daoist rhyme emanated from his body and white lotuses appeared in the void. The white lotuses danced in the air, and wherever they passed, the demonic chi was quickly disintegrated and turned into nothingness like snow under the scorching sun. A huge amount of demonic chi was swept away. Even the civilians who had been infected by the demonic chi gradually regained their senses after coming into contact with the white lotuses. Where am I? What's going on? Why did I become like that? Is this White Lotus a sage ruler? When the civilians who had regained their senses saw Chu Kuangren surrounded by the white lotuses, they immediately knelt down. The people who had been praying also saw this scene and kowtowed in Chu Kuangren's direction. Their eyes were filled with fanaticism like the most devout believers. It's the sage ruler. The sage ruler has appeared. Boo-hoo, we're saved. This is great. It's the bachelor sage, the only one who has mastered the White Lotus light of purification left behind by the sage ruler. The bachelor sage must be the reincarnation of the sage ruler. Isn't the sage ruler a female? I told you she's reincarnated. It's possible that she's a man or a woman. Behind Chu Kuangren. A white light flashed on Lan Yu's body, and a gorgeous silver-white armor covered her body. She spread her wings and flew above the demonic chi. Endless white light radiated from her body as she activated the holy radiant body's power to the extreme. The Tao body phenomenon shone with a blinding light. Under the illumination of the white light, the demonic chi dissipated bit by bit. That's the oracle. It must be the oracle. Lan Yu's holy aura was especially prominent in the sky full of demonic energy. Many people noticed her at first glance. For a time, the rumor that the Sage King had descended to the mortal world to save the world spread. In the center of the boundless demonic chi. The demonic beast suppressed by the gigantic white lotus let out a series of angry roars as it glared at Chu Kuangren and Lan Yu with a face full of anger. The aura of light, and this abhorrent Daoist rhyme. Is it that whore White Lotus Saint King? No, she should have died a long time ago. It seems like someone has inherited her legacy. Even in death, she won't let me have an easy time. The middle head of the Cerberus roared angrily. Above him, the woman in the white lotus revealed a hint of anger in her eyes. You're asking for trouble for insulting a holy king. Her Daoist rhyme circulated around her as she activated the giant white lotus to suppress the three-headed hound. The three-headed hound's bones cracked. D***amenit. You better not let me break this seal. Otherwise, I'll eat all of you. Eat all of you. The three-headed hound howled in a frenzy. At that moment, a black-robed figure walked over from afar. This person was walking through the streets that were filled with demonic chi, yet his body was not affected at all. It was as if he had become one with the demonic chi. Who's there? The school of White Lotus sage frowned when she saw that. Oh, this aura is quite interesting. The three-headed hound's eyes lit up when it saw the black-robed figure. It said, I can sense the aura of demonic chi from you. The black-robed figure walked towards the three-headed hound and revealed a skinny face. Then, he took out a pitch-black dagger, channeled his spiritual power, and stabbed it at the three-headed hound's neck. With a clang, the dagger pierced the three-headed hound's neck with a metallic sound. A surge of demonic chi erupted, and the mysterious black-robed figure was blasted away by the demonic chi. The three-headed hound's expression became extremely ferocious. Its three heads looked at the black-robed figure, bared its teeth, and said, What are you trying to do? TSK, you're indeed a demonic beast comparable to a sage ruler. Even after being sealed for so many years, your body is still indestructible. My soul-devouring dagger can't pierce through your body. The black-robed figure laughed strangely. The school of White Lotus sage was surprised when she saw that. Could this mysterious black-robed figure be an ally? However, the other party gave her an uncomfortable feeling. Soul-devouring dagger? One of the 33 sacred weapons of the demonic world, the soul-devouring dagger. Why is it with you? The three-headed hound's expression changed drastically. It looked at the dagger in the black-robed figure's hand, and fear gradually appeared in its eyes. The 33 sacred weapons of the demonic world were the most terrifying sacred weapons in the demonic world. Each of them was at least a sage ruler weapon. The soul-devouring dagger was one of them. This dagger had one function, and that was to strengthen itself by absorbing the souls of living beings in the demonic world. It was a weapon that countless living beings in the demonic world, and even powerful beings in the demonic world like the three-headed hound, feared. Cut the crap. Hand over your demonic soul. The mysterious black-robed figure activated the spiritual power in his body and poured it into the soul-devouring dagger in his hand. Then, he threw it out. The soul-devouring dagger turned into a stream of light and landed on the three-headed hound, which was suppressed by the White Lotus and unable to move. Sparks flew. Finally, under the full power of the mysterious black-robed figure, the dagger finally tore a hole in the three-headed hound's body. It was just an insignificant small hole, but it made the three-headed hound let out an extremely shrill cry. Waves of soul power flowed out from the hole made by the soul-devouring dagger and were absorbed by the mysterious black-robed figure. Oh, as the soul power entered his body, the mysterious black-robed figure revealed an extremely joyful expression. He could feel that his power and cultivation level were increasing rapidly. This was comparable to thousands of years of hard work. My painstaking efforts to break the seal and release you were not in vain. The effect of this soul power is indeed powerful. The mysterious black-robed figure said. Hearing this, the school of White Lotus sage's expression changed. What did you say just now? You were the one who released this demonic beast? That's right. You deserve to die. The school of White Lotus sage's expression darkened. Hee, what can you do to me? If you withdraw your spiritual power now, this demonic beast will break the seal. Are you going to ignore the lives of the people of the Great Moon Kingdom and attack me? B*****. The school of White Lotus sage's pretty face was filled with rage. However, as the mysterious black-robed figure said, she was currently suppressing the three-headed hound and could not leave. Otherwise, if the three-headed hound broke the seal, the entire Great Moon Kingdom and the neighboring countries would be affected. You'd better obediently suppress this demonic beast. When I suck its soul power dry and it dies, it will be considered as having solved a huge problem for you. By then, the school of White Lotus will have to thank me. The mysterious black-robed figure chuckled. Chapter 201. Thank you. I'd be more than happy to kill you. At that moment, a cold voice was suddenly heard. The mysterious black-robed man's expression froze as he looked behind him in disbelief. This is impossible. This is the place with the densest demonic qi. Other than sages, even honorable supremes would be affected if they approach. Who is it? The reason why he dared to release the demonic beast and steal its soul energy while the sages were suppressing it was not only because of his cultivation level and the soul-devouring dagger, but also because he knew that the demonic beast would release a large amount of demonic qi when it broke its seal. That way, no one would stop him. However, things had developed beyond his expectations. The black-robed man and the school of White Lotus's sage looked towards the source of the voice. They saw a white-robed figure slowly walking towards them. The newcomer was dressed in a white robe that was spotless. A beautiful sword hung from his waist, and he wore white boots. His hair reached his waist, and his facial features were so exquisite that no one could find a single flaw on him. He was surrounded by white lotuses, which added a sense of holiness to his already extraordinary temperament. Wherever he went, the demonic qi would dissipate without affecting him at all. The black-robed man also noticed that the street behind him had already returned to its original state. There was no trace of demonic qi left behind. This person had purified the demonic qi all the way here. At that thought, the black-robed man was shocked. After all, the three-headed hound was a demonic beast that was comparable to a sage ruler. Although it had yet to break its seal and was being suppressed by a sage, the amount of demonic qi that it released was still immeasurable. The entire school of White Lotus had come out in full force, but it only managed to slow down the spread of demonic qi. However, this person could purify it all the way here. White Lotus Light of Purification. Are you the descendant of that B*TCH White Lotus Sage Ruler? The three-headed hound endured the pain of having its soul energy extracted, and its 3 heads and 6 eyes stared straight at Chu Kuangren. The Daoist rhyme on his body made it extremely unhappy. Dog, stay down there and shut up. Chu Kuangren said indifferently. He then looked at the black-robed man and activated his eye of revelation to analyze the person's information. King Wuguan, one of the 10 Yama palaces of the demonic cultivator organization. Honorable Supreme, cultivates the sage techniques, Rakshasa technique, Een Ender Finger. Oh, someone from the underworld palace. Chu Kuangren was surprised. When he heard this, the black-robed man's pupils constricted slightly. Never had he imagined that Shi would be able to see through his origins with a single glance. I say, you demonic cultivators sure are having a good time. You keep showing up in front of me. Chu Kuangren's eyes were filled with impatience and disgust. He did not have a good impression of these demonic cultivators at all. It was one thing for her to cause trouble all day long, but she was always causing trouble in front of him. Like a swarm of flies, very annoying. Chu Kuangren. The black-robed man, who was King Wuguan, revealed a hint of fear in his eyes. He did not expect Chu Kuangren to show up here. He had heard quite a bit about Chu Kuangren's name in the past few days. If one were to choose who was the most feared person in the demonic orthodoxies this year, there was no doubt that Chu Kuangren would be the best candidate. Elder, this person is currently absorbing the soul strength of a magical beast. The White Lotus School's sage said to Chu Kuangren. Oh, that's interesting. Items related to the soul were very rare, and the fact that this demonic cultivator in front of him could absorb soul strength piqued his interest. He glanced at the soul-devouring dagger on the three-headed hound's neck and felt an incomparably strange aura from it. Moreover, there seemed to be an invisible connection between this dagger and King Wuguan. Is this how you extract the soul strength? Chu Kuangren's figure turned into a stream of light and appeared in front of the three-headed hound. His speed was so fast that King Wuguan could not even catch a glimpse of him. His pupils shrunk as he knew that he was no match for Chu Kuangren. Everyone says that this person's cultivation level is not high, but his combat strength is heaven-defying. So that's how it is. King Wuguan was shocked. Chu Kuangren, even a sage has to use all his strength to suppress this magical beast. You should know how terrifying it is. I'm using the soul-devouring dagger to kill it now. I'm helping you guys," King Wuguan said loudly. "For your own selfish reasons, you released the magical beast, causing countless civilians to suffer, and now you're telling me that you're helping us? You demonic cultivators are quite good at distorting the truth." As he spoke, Chu Kuangren raised his hand and unleashed a palm attack. The majestic human mountain strength instantly erupted and sent King Wuguan flying. The 10 Yama palaces of the Underworld Palace? That's quite a name, but this is all you've got. Do you guys even deserve to be called the Underworld Palace? Chu Kuangren's figure turned into a stream of light and once again appeared in front of King Wuguan. The battle monarch domain erupted, and the 5 great foundation levels within his body shone brightly. His spiritual power surged and instantly suppressed King Wuguan, who still wanted to resist. Chu Kuangren reached out and grabbed King Wuguan's neck, lifting him into the air like a little chick. He said coldly, "Some time ago, one of you guys called the Chakra King was killed by me. Now, it's your turn. Perhaps in the future, I'll find an opportunity to annihilate your so-called Underworld Palace." Not far away, the school of White Lotus sage gulped as she watched. She had heard rumors about Chu Kuangren before and knew that he was powerful, but she did not expect him to be this powerful. An honorable supreme could not even fight back in front of him? How was this a battle monarch? She would believe him even if he were a sage. Chu Kuangren. King Wuguan's face flushed red as he uttered word by word. Following that, an extremely powerful force suddenly erupted from his body. Under this force, Chu Kuangren was forced to retreat a few meters. "Oh, you've gotten stronger." Chu Kuangren was slightly surprised. The aura on King Wuguan's body continued to skyrocket, especially his Daoist rhymes. It was a world of difference from before. Chu Kuangren activated his Eye of Revelation to analyze King Wuguan's situation. Spiritual power increasing, Daoist rhymes increasing, a large amount of soul energy is being burned. Originating from the 3-headed demonic beast, the analysis information flashed before his eyes one by one. At that moment, the 3-headed hound beside him let out a scream, and the demonic chi on its body fluctuated violently due to the intense pain. Due to the analysis results of the Eye of Revelation, Chu Kuangren instantly determined the reason for its scream. He could not help but chuckle. A dignified sage ruler level demonic beast has been reduced to a lackey, having its soul burned by an honorable. You're really a disgrace as a sage ruler. Soul Devourer dagger, it's all. Damn it. Soul Devourer dagger. The 3-headed hound roared in anger. Chu Kuangren ignored it and looked at King Wuguan instead. If he removed the Soul Devourer dagger from the 3-headed hound's body, King Wuguan would no longer have any soul energy to burn, and naturally, he would not be able to level up. However, he did not do that. Removing the Soul Devourer dagger was equivalent to helping the 3-headed hound. He was quite happy to see King Wuguan continue to hurt the 3-headed hound, so it would be easier for him to deal with him later. Chu Kuangren, die. King Wuguan did not think as much as Chu Kuangren. He frantically burned the soul energy that he extracted from the 3-headed hound, turning it into his cultivation in an attempt to kill Chu Kuangren. Chapter 202. Chu Kuangren, die. With a furious roar, the Daoist rhymes around King Wuguan boiled, and the spiritual power that was mixed with the 3-headed hound's soul power surged wildly. He looked like a demon yet not a demon, like a human yet not a human. Een absolute finger. As soon as he pointed his finger out, a monstrous amount of finger strength instantly erupted, and a chilling and domineering Daoist rhyme locked onto Chu Kuangren. Chu Kuangren stood his ground and did not move an inch. The white lotuses surrounded him, and when the finger energies landed on the white lotuses, they disintegrated into nothingness. The sage of the school of White Lotus was slightly surprised. I can't believe Chu Kuangren has mastered the White Lotus light of purification to such an extent. I'm afraid he's already at the level of a sage ruler. Chu Kuangren's understanding of the White Lotus light of purification was already on par with the White Lotus sage ruler. The only thing he lacked now was his cultivation level. Is that all? A hint of disappointment flashed across Chu Kuangren's eyes. He was able to kill Honorable Supremes when he was in the late stage of the Battle Monarch realm. Now that he was only half a step away from the Honorable realm, he could even step into the Honorable realm at any time if he wanted to. Honorable Supremes were nothing to him. At this time, King Wuguan had ignited the Cerberus's soul power, and his battle prowess had multiplied. However, he still hadn't broken through the realm of Honorable Supreme. Could it be that the wound is too small and you didn't absorb enough soul power? As Chu Kuangren spoke, he walked towards the three-headed hound, grabbed the soul-devouring dagger, and pressed it hard into its body. With a poochie sound, the soul-devouring dagger pierced deep into the Cerberus's body, widening the wound by more than 10 times. He could feel his soul power depleting even faster. Motherfucker! The three-headed hound roared and glared at Chu Kuangren. Even King Wuguan and the School of White Lotus's sage were stunned by Chu Kuangren's actions. They stared at him with their mouths agape. What was he doing? Giving aid to the enemy? The influx of a large amount of soul power caused King Wuguan's skinny body to expand rapidly like a balloon. King Wuguan's expression changed, and he hurriedly used his spiritual power to ignite the soul power that was crazily surging towards him, causing his strength to soar once again. The unprecedented power made King Wuguan feel as if he could control everything, and he couldn't help but laugh out loud. Power. Endless power. Chu Kuangren, you're too full of yourself. Today, you will pay the price for your arrogance. King Wuguan said loudly. Once again, he pointed his finger and unleashed his sage technique, the Yin terminating finger. Majestic Daoist rhymes and spiritual power converged to form a giant black finger that was so solid that it was almost tangible. It then pressed towards Chu Kuangren with its shadow and raging winds. This power was extremely terrifying. Even a supreme being wouldn't be able to block this attack. This strike already possesses the battle prowess of a quasi-sage. The sage of the School of White Lotus said solemnly. However, Chu Kuangren remained calm in the face of that finger attack. White lotuses circled around his body, but when they collided with the finger attack, the white lotuses continuously shattered and withered. Even Chu Kuangren himself was forced back several feet by that finger attack. Ha, that's more like it. Come, take a look at this. Chu Kuangren smiled and took out the sacred emerald sword case. With a pat on the sword case, 4 treasured swords flew out and surrounded King Wuguan's body, forming the 4 seasons sword formation. What is this? Sword array? Humph, you want to stop me with such a small sword formation? King Wuguan sneered and pointed out with a finger. Violent Daoist rhymes bombarded the sword formation. The void trembled as it collided with the sword chi. However, even with King Wuguan's peerless combat strength, he still could not break through the sword formation. This sword formation is so strong. King Wuguan was shocked, but his hands did not stop. One finger after another, the violent finger attack continuously impacted the sword formation. The 4 seasons sword formation was shaken. Seeing that, Chu Kuangren patted the sword case a few more times. Another 8 long swords flew out. The 12 treasured swords hovered in the void, strengthening the sword formation's power. The sword formation that was originally shaken became even more stable. This sword formation can be strengthened? D***it. King Wuguan's expression sank. The School of White Lotus sage was amazed. This Chu Kuangren really has an endless number of tricks up his sleeves. I wonder how many more trump cards he has. She had never heard of Chu Kuangren using a sword formation before. There was no such rumor in the outside world either. Chu Kuangren activated the sword formation and only trapped King Wuguan without killing him. Under such circumstances, the three-headed hound's soul energy was rapidly depleting. Gradually, the three-headed hound felt that its mind was becoming hazy. Young lad, hurry up and kill this guy. Chu Kuangren glanced at it but did not do anything. Are you waiting for him to suck my soul energy dry before you attack? The three-headed hound's 3 heads roared in unison. Why not? You, the three-headed hound was enraged, and a fierce look appeared in its eyes. If that's the case, then let's die together. It then took the initiative to burn its soul energy to increase its demonic chi. The surging demonic chi was boiling, crazily attacking the White Lotus. Not good, this demonic beast is trying to perish together with us. The school of White Lotus sages' expression changed. The White Lotus that was formed by countless Daoist patterns began to crack under the impact of the demonic chi. Inside the sword formation, King Wuguan also noticed the three-headed hound's strange behavior. He, who was struggling to break through the sword formation, laughed out loud. Chu Kuangren, you've gone too far this time. Let's see what you're going to do next. Instead of worrying about us, why don't you worry about yourself? Chu Kuangren moved his thoughts. Inside the sword formation, the power of the 4 seasons rotation converged and turned into a giant sword shadow. With a majestic force, it smashed towards King Wuguan. No, no. Under this power, King Wuguan had no strength to resist at all. In just an instant, he was blasted into a cloud of blood mist. There's no use killing him now. Once the soul ignition technique is activated, there's no stopping it. Now, all I want to do is to drag all of you and the southern countries down with me. The three-headed hound's eyes were bloodshot as it roared madly. Terrifying demonic chi attacked the White Lotus, causing the school of White Lotus sages' face to turn pale. Not good, I can't suppress it any longer. Once he breaks free, in his current state, he'll kill every living being in the Full Moon Kingdom in less than an hour. The school of White Lotus sage was extremely anxious. He won't have that chance. Chu Kuangren said calmly. Suddenly, a pitch-black chain that emanated a gloomy chi appeared in his hand. It was the soul retriever. Soul ignition? You must have a soul to burn first. The soul retriever swung out and pierced into the three-headed hound's body. Come out. Chu Kuangren let out a low growl as he continuously channeled his spiritual power into the soul retriever. Then, the three-headed hound's soul was slowly pulled out of its physical body. Unlike the souls that were pulled out in the past, this three-headed hound's soul seemed to have an invisible flame burning on it. A large amount of soul energy was constantly dissipating. Chu Kuangren did not need to do anything. It would not take long for this soul to burn itself out. It would be fine if the three-headed hound's soul was still in its physical body. The burning soul energy could be turned into a demonic chi catalyst, allowing it to explode with terrifying power. Now, however, it could only stare blankly at the soul energy being burned away by itself. There was no way for it to gain any benefits. Soul retriever. What the hell is this thing? The three-headed hound's soul looked at the chain on its body. All 6 eyes on its 3 heads were filled with horror. Chapter 203. The three-headed hound's soul was bound by the soul retriever, and it struggled to break free, causing the entire soul retriever to tremble. Whoa, as expected of a sage ruler's soul. Even after so much of its soul energy has been sucked away, it's still so energetic. Chu Kuangren raised an eyebrow and continuously channeled his spiritual power into the soul retriever. Only then was he able to restrain his opponent. Let me go. Let me go. The three-headed hound kept roaring, but it still could not break free. The soul devourer dagger had absorbed too much of its soul energy, and now that it had self-immolated its soul, more than half of its soul energy had been depleted. No matter how hard it struggled, it could not break free from the soul retriever. In addition, the soul retriever released a chilling chi that could paralyze one's soul, causing it to gradually lose its strength. After a while, Chu Kuangren yanked the soul retriever, and the sage ruler's soul disappeared from the world just like that. Phew, it's a success. The school of White Lotuses sage breathed a sigh of relief. The white lotuses that filled the sky disappeared. The giant white lotuses that were formed from countless Daoist patterns were already on the verge of collapse under the impact of the demonic chi. After the school of White Lotuses sage withdrew her spiritual power, it could no longer hold on. Cracks appeared on the lotuses, and they shattered into countless light spots. As for the soulless three-headed hound, it lay on the ground with demonic qi and ferocious qi lingering on its body. "Greetings, Brother Chu." The School of White Lotus's sage came before Chu Kuangren and bowed. "You're too kind." Chu Kuangren returned the gesture. "It's all thanks to your help this time. Otherwise, I don't know how things would have turned out. It's my duty. Besides, I still have the title of the School of White Lotus's Supreme Elder on me. Besides, the School of White Lotus and the Black Heaven sect are allies. How could I just sit back and watch?" Chu Kuangren said. Then, he looked at the corpse of the three-headed hound on the ground with a fiery look in his eyes. To him, this was a great treasure. How much blood and flesh essence could be refined from the corpse of a sage ruler? It was enough for him to form the supreme honorable foundation level. Seeing that Chu Kuangren was interested in the three-headed hound's carcass, the School of White Lotus's sage said, "Brother Chu, you've helped the School of White Lotus this time by protecting the billions of lives in the southern countries. The School of White Lotus doesn't know how to thank you for that. If you're interested in this demonic beast's carcass, you can have it." Then I won't hold back then." Chu Kuangren did not hesitate and kept the three-headed hound's carcass into his yin and yang ring. The School of White Lotus's sage smiled. Although the corpse of a demonic beast that was as powerful as a sage ruler was precious, the three-headed hound came from the underworld demonic realm and had demonic qi on its body that was difficult to use. Hence, it was better to give it to Chu Kuangren. It was both a way to thank him and a way to get closer to him. Even a sage like her had to take Chu Kuangren's display of talent, strength, and technique seriously. She was more than willing to take advantage of this situation. "Young master." At that moment, Lan Yu flapped her wings and came to Chu Kuangren's side. Most of the demonic energy has been dispersed. Senior Qin Lan and the others are dealing with the remaining small amounts of demonic energy. "I believe it won't be long before they are completely gone," Lan Yu said. "Okay, I got it." This time, the demonic beast's seal breaking has finally been averted, the School of White Lotus's sage said, completely relieved. "Thank you, Bachelor Sage. We will never forget the Bachelor Sage's great kindness." "Bachelor Sage, you have done us a great service." Commoners gradually walked out from both sides of the street. They knelt before Chu Kuangren and kowtowed with great sincerity. They did not know that Chu Kuangren was already the School of White Lotus's supreme elder. However, to them, it did not matter whether he was a bachelor sage or an elder. It did not affect Chu Kuangren's high position in their hearts. Chu Kuangren saw that some of these people were dressed in tattered clothes and looked exhausted. Some of them were injured and bleeding profusely. Even so, they still knelt before Chu Kuangren and looked at him, expressing their gratitude. Chu Kuangren took a step forward and a mysterious Daoist rhyme emanated from his body. That Daoist rhyme was mixed with a gentle spiritual power that spread out and brushed across everyone's body like a spring breeze. Everyone who was originally tired suddenly became energetic, and those who were injured also quickly recovered from their injuries. Even those who were suffering from old illnesses felt their bodies become much more relaxed. "My injuries are healed." "Me too. I've been suffering from a cold leg for many years, but now I can move freely again. I'm all right now." "Bachelor Sage, it's all thanks to you." "Thank you, Bachelor Sage." "Thank you, Bachelor Sage." Chu Kuangren smiled in satisfaction as he looked at the people who had recovered. It seems that this spring breeze healing technique is quite useful. The spring breeze healing technique was an emperor technique recorded in the Eternal Emperor scripture. It was an emperor technique that was specifically used to restore vitality. However, since Chu Kuangren had the immortal body, he felt that this emperor technique would not be of much use to him, so he did not study it. However, it seemed that this emperor technique was not meant for him. If anything were to happen in the future, it would not be a bad idea to use it to save others. Chu Kuangren walked on the street with Lan Yu with him. Daoist rhyme emanated from his body as the spring breeze blew. Wherever he went, withered trees were revived, including those who were injured in this disaster. This scene was like a miracle. Countless people knelt on the ground and kowtowed to Chu Kuangren as he walked away. In an instant, Chu Kuangren's status in the hearts of the Full Moon Kingdom's citizens skyrocketed. He was almost on par with the School of White Lotus leader. The School of White Lotus's sage could not help but shake her head as she witnessed everything that had happened. This kid is decisive in killing his enemies, but he's also benevolent. He's a sage on the inside and a king on the outside. Coupled with his talent, he's a rare talent. She was even more determined to build a good relationship with Chu Kuangren. After dealing with the demonic beasts, Chu Kuangren did not return to the Black Heaven sect immediately. Instead, he found a secluded spot in the School of White Lotus. This dagger is quite interesting. Chu Kuangren played with the soul-devouring dagger that he had pulled out from the three-headed hound's body. Since it was related to soul energy, it was obvious how extraordinary this dagger was. He tossed it into his yin and yang ring, planning to refine it when he had the time. Now, he wanted to refine the three-headed hound and break through to the honorable realm. He spent a total of 10 days in this closed-door meditation. The three-headed hound's flesh and blood essence was so majestic that Chu Kuangren suspected that even an ordinary sage ruler would not have such a majestic amount of flesh and blood essence. After spending 10 days to refine the three-headed hound, the amount of flesh and blood essence that he had obtained was almost inestimable. Coupled with the treasures that he had obtained from the gacha previously, it allowed him to form the Supreme Honorable Foundation level in one fell swoop. Buzz buzz, on this day, the void trembled. A mysterious Daoist rhyme emanated from Chu Kuangren's closed-door meditation spot, and Daoist rhymes began to reverberate in the sky. All the cultivators in the School of White Lotus were shocked. Even the sages could not help but shudder as they looked towards the direction of Chu Kuangren's closed-door meditation spot. A large amount of spiritual qi gathered above Chu Kuangren's closed-door meditation spot, forming a huge, solid spiritual qi vortex. The spiritual qi was so dense that it made the air feel sticky. It was as if water could drip out at any time. The cultivators who rushed over were shocked by the dense spiritual qi. Then, an even more shocking scene happened. In the sky above Chu Kuangren, lines of Daoist patterns began to circulate and gradually condensed into ancient golden runes. Every single one of these talisman markings was drawn out smoothly with a single stroke, and they seemed to be formed by nature and were extremely profound. 1, 2, 3. 9 runes. One of the cultivators could not help but gulp as he said in shock. The crowd then saw the 9 runes that were drawn in a single stroke begin to combine into an ancient, majestic talisman. The talisman emanated a dazzling golden light in the sky, and waves of Daoist rhyme surrounded it as if it was interpreting the essence of Taoism. 9 strokes Daoist rhymes. Supreme Honorable Foundation level. Chapter 204. The 9 strokes Daoist seal, the Supreme Honorable Foundation level. All the cultivators from the School of White Lotus were dumbfounded. In the past 150,000 years, no one had ever managed to form the Supreme Honorable Foundation level. It was no longer a question of whether it was rare or not. There was no such thing. This must be the residence of the Supreme Elder. Yes, besides him, can you think of anyone else who could form the Supreme Honorable Foundation level? There's no one else but him. I remember that the Supreme Elder had formed several Supreme Foundation levels before. The Supreme Elder is going to defy the heavens. The Supreme Elder's foundation level is too terrifying. Even the School of White Lotus's sage was speechless. She had witnessed something that no one had been able to do for hundreds of thousands of years. Apart from spiritual power, the formation of the Supreme Honorable Foundation level is also crucial for one's Dao techniques, especially the latter. Brother Chu's Dao techniques are no weaker than a sage's, so it makes sense that he could form such a foundation level. The School of White Lotus's sage murmured. Chu Kuangren was just too much of a genius. The transformations in the sky dispersed. Inside the room, Chu Kuangren sat on his bed with golden light circulating around his body. Countless Daoist patterns intertwined, and his body had a golden jade-like luster. Inside his body, the 6 supreme foundation levels radiated with divine light, and as the spiritual power surged, Daoist rhymes seemed to reverberate. Chu Kuangren slowly opened his eyes, and a smile appeared on his handsome face. Supreme Honorable Foundation level. I've finally succeeded. He felt that his current strength was far stronger than before. Whether it was his spiritual power or his Dao techniques, they had all improved tremendously. Even if it was a quasi-sage, he was confident that he could defeat the other party without using his sword formation or monarch technique. As for the sages, it was hard to say since they had not fought before. However, even if he could not win, he would not lose. Although it sounded a little unbelievable because to countless cultivators, everyone below the sages were like ants. The gap between sages and those below them was too big. However, Chu Kuangren had just ascended to the honorable realm, yet he was confident that he was no weaker than a sage. If word of this got out, it would cause a huge commotion. Chu Kuangren got up and walked out of the room. Outside the door was Lan Yu, who had been guarding him, as well as a large group of cultivators who were attracted by the Martial Venerables Foundation anomaly. At that moment, everyone looked at Chu Kuangren with admiration. Even the Chosens who had wanted to compete with him previously were convinced of his superiority, and no longer had any thoughts of going against him. The gap was too big. They weren't on the same level at all. And when this gap was large to a certain extent, everyone's original envy and jealousy might turn into fanatical worship. Fellow Daoist Chu, congratulations on successfully advancing to the Venerable Realm. The sage of the School of White Lotus walked over and said with a smile. It's just fate. Chu Kuangren said. After that, Chu Kuangren and Lan Yu stayed in the Full Moon Kingdom for a few days. Just as they were about to return to the Black Heaven sect, Elder Rian sent Chu Kuangren a message. Daoist Murong Xian had asked the sect for help. Upon hearing this news, Chu Kuangren's eyes flashed with a cold light. Did the Murong clan not take my warning seriously? Before Murong Xian left, Chu Kuangren had warned Murong Feng. But now it seemed that Murong Xian had still encountered some unfair treatment in the Murong clan, causing a proud Daoist to ask for help from the sect. Contact Murong Xian and ask him what happened. We can't reach him. After we received the message asking for help, we contacted Murong Xian, but he didn't respond. If I'm not wrong, he must be under the control of the Murong clan or even imprisoned. Elder Rian's solemn voice came from the communication compass. Upon hearing that, Chu Kuangren's eyes turned even colder. What a Murong clan. Looks like I'll have to pay them a visit myself. As a Daoist of the Black Heaven sect, Murong Xian was his junior brother and his little fan. Whether it was for business or personal reasons, Chu Kuangren could not just sit back and watch. Sect leader, the Murong clan is still a sage orthodoxy with a sage in charge. It's too risky for you to go there yourself. How about this, let the third forefather and the others go and negotiate with them first. Elder Rian suggested. No matter what, Murong Xian is my junior brother. Now that he's been wronged by the Murong clan, I can't just stand by and do nothing. Negotiation is fine too, but let's talk about it after we beat him up. Don't worry, I know what I'm doing. Elder Rian felt helpless when she heard that. However, when she thought about it, she realized that what Chu Kuangren said made sense. Although Murong Xian was a member of the Murong clan, he had been a Daoist of the Black Heaven sect for many years. If he was really treated unfairly by the Murong clan and kept giving in, it would only make the Black Heaven sect look weak. Alright, that's all for now. I'll make a move first. Chu Kuangren ended the call with Elder Rian. After that, he departed for the Murong clan. The Murong clan was located in the Black Warrior domain, which was quite far away from the School of White Lotus where Chu Kuangren was. It would take a few days even if he took the ferry boat. On the ferry boat, Chu Kuangren stood against the wind. A hint of worry flashed across his eyes, but it was soon replaced by a fierce look. Murong clan, I hope you don't go overboard. Chu Kuangren collected his thoughts, opened the roulette, and started the gacha roulette. Congratulations, host, you have obtained a Starlight Grade item, Elusive Mirage. Elusive Mirage? A replica of it? Chu Kuangren's face darkened. What the hell did I just get? However, it was still a starlight-grade item. Chu Kuangren curiously opened his inventory and looked at the elusive mirage. His eyes lit up. In one of the slots in his inventory, there was a large, pitch-black ship that was covered in ancient golden patterns. I didn't expect the elusive mirage to be a ferry boat. Chu Kuangren's eyes lit up. Retrieve the elusive mirage, he commanded in his mind. Suddenly, a gigantic black ferry boat appeared above the sea of clouds. The ferry boat was so huge that it looked like an ancient beast. The ferry boat that Chu Kuangren and Lan Yu were on was like a small boat in front of the elusive mirage. It was not even worth mentioning. The elusive mirage was mainly black, and it shone with a gloomy luster under the sunlight. On the deck, there were rows of pavilions of different styles. There were fake mountains, gardens, and rare beasts. How was this a ferry boat? It was clearly a floating palace. If this is just a replica, then what does the real elusive mirage look like? Chu Kuangren was a little shocked. Beside him, Lan Yu's mouth was also slightly open. She was extremely shocked. Lan Yu, switch to another ferry boat, Chu Kuangren said as he kept the ferry boat under his feet and went to the elusive mirage. As soon as he stepped on the elusive mirage, a mysterious feeling surged in Chu Kuangren's heart. It was as if he had become one with the elusive mirage. In an instant, he controlled everything about the elusive mirage. Let's go, Chu Kuangren commanded in his mind. The Daoist patterns on the surface of the elusive mirage glowed with a golden light. It was as if an ancient beast had awakened from its slumber. Then, spiritual power gathered at the tail of the elusive mirage, forming two giant whirlpools that erupted with a terrifying propulsion force. The elusive mirage shot into the distance, leaving behind two giant white scars in the sea of clouds behind it. Chapter 205. Black Warrior Domain, Murong Clan. At this moment, in one of the woodshed in the Murong clan, a young man with both hands shackled and full of scars was lying on the ground. This person was Murong Xian, who had come to participate in the Murong clan's trial. Footsteps could be heard coming from outside the woodshed. A few young men and women walked up as if they had planned it beforehand. "Oh, third young master, you're still alive." Murong Hai could not help but laugh when he saw Murong Xian in the woodshed. "Nonsense, of course we have to keep him alive. We still have to keep him alive to see how we're going to move his lowly mother's grave tomorrow." A woman smiled playfully. Murong Xian's eyes lit up when he heard this. He raised his head and glared at Murong Hai and the others. "If you dare touch my mother, I'll turn into an evil spirit even if I have to die. I'll make sure you die a horrible death." "Oh my, I'm so scared. Turning into an evil spirit? What a joke. Don't say that. Doesn't he look like a ghost now?" The crowd mocked Murong Xian. Murong Hai squatted down and looked at Murong Xian coldly. "Do you really think you can make a comeback after becoming a Daoist of the Black Heaven sect? Stop dreaming. It's the young emperor and his mother's idea to move your mother out of the clan mausoleum. You know that the young emperor's mother has always been brooding over your mother's death. How could she let her lie in the clan mausoleum and receive incense offerings from others? It's already good enough that she didn't drag her out and whip her corpse." "Oh, right. Do you know where we're going to move your mother's grave? Isn't there a mass grave outside the city? Oh my, the people who died there are all beggars and peasants. They stink to the heavens. It's perfect for your lowly mother to be with them." Murong Hai's words made Murong Xian's eyes turn red with hatred. He roared like a wild beast. "I'll kill you." He charged at Murong Hai but was sent flying with a kick. He crashed into a pile of firewood and could not fight back at all. "Your meridians are destroyed, your spiritual mound is damaged, and your limbs are tied up. You're like a dead dog now. How dare you try to fight back? Tui." Murong Hai spat and laughed as he turned around and left. The others looked at Murong Xian with disdain before following Murong Hai out of the dirty and messy woodshed. Murong Xian was the only one left in the woodshed, lying on the ground. There were a few pieces of firewood lying on top of his body, but he did not move at all. It was as if he was dead. There is no greater sorrow than a dead heart. Another person arrived outside the woodshed. It was Murong Feng. He stared at Murong Xian, who was lying on the ground in a sorry state. A hint of anger flashed across his eyes. "They're here to cause you trouble again." Hearing the voice, Murong Xian asked, "Does it have anything to do with you?" Murong Feng was silent for a moment before he sighed. "Perhaps I shouldn't have told you this news. I shouldn't have brought you back. You said before that as long as I display sufficient results in the clan's training and receive the attention of the elders, I would be able to protect my mother. But now, I have become a cripple. Everything is useless. I didn't expect them to be so ruthless. They actually secretly hired people from the Black Stain Plumes to deal with you." Murong Feng sighed. He had underestimated the shamelessness of Murong Hai and Murong Yu. "What's the point of saying all this now? I'll look for your father and ask him to let you off the hook." "Father?" Hee hee. Murong Xian let out a low chuckle. "He never cared about me in the past. Now that I've become a cripple, do you think he'll create a rift between him and his promising eldest son, Murong Yu, over a cripple? The word father disgusts me. In any case, I'll try my best. You have the Black Heavens sect as your background, so the Murong clan will definitely be wary of you." After that, Murong Feng sighed and left. He suddenly remembered Chu Kuangren's warning when he brought Murong Xian back. The uneasiness in his heart gradually grew. Now that things had developed to this point, it had long exceeded his expectations. "Black Heavens sect leader," Murong Xian murmured. Compared to the Murong clan, the Black Heavens sect was his home. He also knew that Chu Kuangren would not give up on him. He even guessed that Chu Kuangren was on his way to the Murong clan. Unfortunately, the Black Heavens sect and the Murong clan were too far apart. By the time Chu Kuangren arrived, his mother would have already been thrown into the mass grave. Thinking of this, Murong Xian was filled with grief and anger. The next day, the Murong clan was paying their respects to their ancestors in front of the clan mausoleum. The Murong clan's head, elders, and even disciples from the main branch were all present. "The clan's trial has come to a successful end. I hereby pray to our ancestors. May our ancestors bless the Murong clan for all eternity." The Murong clan's head led the crowd to the clan mausoleum and offered incense. After a long while, the long and tedious ceremony was over. Men opened the clan mausoleum. Beside the Murong clan's head, a noblewoman dressed in a luxurious robe with a hairpin on her head ordered loudly. The Murong clan's head watched from the side and did not stop her. The clan mausoleum opened. A few disciples who had been notified beforehand walked in and carried out a black coffin in a short while. The noblewoman said calmly, "Within the clan mausoleum are the ancestors who have made great contributions to the Murong clan. They are all of high status. This lowly servant girl has neither virtue nor talent. Placing her inside will only disturb the ancestors' peace. Hence, today, we shall move her to another place for burial." As soon as she said that, many of the Murong clan's disciples started to whisper among themselves. "I heard that the mistress will move the Ning clan out of the clan mausoleum today. I thought it was just a rumor, but it turned out to be true. TSK, the Ning clan has been dead for so long and now they're moving her grave. She really can't rest in peace. How pitiful. I heard that the Ning clan was just a servant girl back then, but the master took a liking to her and took her in as a concubine. She gave birth to Murong Xian, but because the main wife, the Lin clan, was dissatisfied, the mother and son were slowly neglected. Yeah, the Lin clan is a top-notch honorable orthodoxy. The Ning clan is just a servant girl with no background. How could she win against the Lin clan? The master only had a crush on her for a while. Scumbag. Shoo, do you want to die? Don't spout nonsense." In the crowd, Murong Hai gave a look to someone next to him. That person understood and left the scene. Soon, that person dragged Murong Xian to a corner and made him watch as his mother's coffin was taken away. Mother, mother. Murong Xian's eyes were bloodshot as if he had gone mad. However, he could not break free from that person's grip. At that moment, Murong Hai rolled his eyes and a playful smile appeared on his face. He flicked his finger and shot a ray of energy at the knee of the disciple who was carrying the coffin. The disciple could not help but fall to the ground in pain. The coffin also fell to the ground and the lid was lifted. A skeleton fell out and was exposed to the sunlight. Murong Xian felt his blood rushing to his head and his mind was about to explode. Mother! With a roar, he used all his strength to break free from the person behind him and ran toward the coffin. However, before he could take more than a few steps, he was pressed to the ground by a domain energy and could not move. The person who attacked him was the Murong clan's young emperor, Murong Yu. This is the Murong clan's memorial ceremony. How dare you act so presumptuously? Murong Yu said coldly. Murong Hai and the others looked at Murong Xian with gloating expressions. Murong Feng could not stand it anymore and wanted to stop him. However, at that moment, the sky suddenly turned dark. Chapter 206. In the city where the Murong clan resided. At that moment, countless people walked out of the streets and were dumbfounded when they saw the huge shadow in the sky. What? What's that? It's a ship. It's a ship. What a huge ship. What ship? That's a ferry boat that can fly in the sky. But my goodness, this is the first time I've seen such a huge ferry boat. Is that a ferry boat? I'd believe it even if you said it was an immortal palace. It's huge. Above the city, the gigantic elusive mirage soared into the sky. Chu Kuangren stood on the deck and looked down. This is the city where the Murong clan resides. I'm finally here. Based on the normal speed of a ferry boat, it would take him 2 to 3 days to reach there. However, things were different with the elusive mirage. Although the elusive mirage looked huge, its speed was extremely fast. After a day and a night, he had arrived at the Murong clan. Next, let me find the location of the Murong family. Chu Kuangren murmured as his spiritual thoughts surged out. Soon, he found the Murong clan. However, when he saw what was happening in the Murong clan, his expression turned cold. Damn you, Murong clan! I'm not going to forgive you for what you've done today. Inside the Murong clan. The elusive mirage soared into the sky, forming a huge shadow. The sky seemed to have turned dark. Looking at the gigantic ferry boat in the sky, everyone was dumbfounded. It was their first time seeing a ferry boat of such scale. My goodness, whose ferry boat is this? You're telling me this is a boat? Who is it? I've never heard of any orthodoxy in the firmament star owning a ferry boat like this, not even the sage orthodoxies. Could it be a new warship built by some dynasty? There's no logo on it. The crowd discussed among themselves. Meanwhile, the Murong clan's head and the group of elders stared at the elusive mirage with excitement in their eyes. What a mysterious Daoist pattern, and this aura. This ferry boat is not as simple as just being huge. If the Murong clan has a ferry boat like this, our foundation will definitely be strengthened. Who does this ferry boat belong to? Among the crowd, Murong Feng's uneasiness was magnified when he saw the elusive mirage because he sensed a familiar aura. Swoosh, 2 figures suddenly descended from the elusive mirage. Everyone turned to look, and shock appeared on their faces. It really is him. Murong Feng's pupils shrunk slightly as he looked at Chu Kuangren and said, May I know who you are, Brother Daoist? May I ask? One of the elders walked up to Chu Kuangren, wanting to inquire about his background. Scram! Chu Kuangren lifted his hand and unleashed a palm attack. The terrifying human mountain Daoist rhymes exploded. Before the elder could even react, he was blasted to the point of vomiting blood and smashed into the wall far away. What? How dare you come to my Murong family and cause trouble? The expressions of Master Murong and the others changed. Just as they were about to make their move, Murong Fong hurriedly stood in front of them and said, "Stop, this person is the Black Heaven sect leader." Hearing this, everyone turned pale with fright. As for those who had been to the Hidden Sword Canyon, namely Murong Yu, Murong Hai, and the others, they looked at Chu Kuangren with fear in their eyes. Chu Kuangren. I can't believe he's here. Humph, so be it. It's just him and that woman beside him. What kind of storm can the two of them cause? That's right, this is our Murong family's territory. Everyone stared at Chu Kuangren, ready to attack at any time. However, he only slowly walked up to Murong Xian. When he sensed the domain energy that was pressing down on him, he raised his hand and a white lotus bloomed, disintegrating Murong Yu's domain almost instantly. His strength, Murong Yu's expression changed. He felt that Chu Kuangren was stronger than before. And it was not just by a little bit. How could this be? How long had it been since the trip to the Sword Gauntlet? After the domain dissipated, Murong Xian hurriedly ran to the coffin. With tears in his eyes, he carefully picked up the corpse on the ground. Chu Kuangren followed him in silence. He could feel the immense grief and anger from Murong Xian. "Mother, it's my fault for not being filial enough to protect you," Murong Xian said with a trembling voice. Behind him, Chu Kuangren's body also trembled when he heard that. He looked at the corpse on the ground in disbelief. That was Murong Xian's mother. It seemed that Murong Xian's mother had been dead for a long time, yet the Murong family treated a dead person like that in front of Murong Xian. At that thought, Chu Kuangren's chest burned with unprecedented anger. His cold gaze swept across everyone at the scene. He placed his hand on Murong Xian's shoulder and said, "Don't worry. I'm here. You're no longer alone." He glanced at the clan's mausoleum not far away and walked towards it. Everyone was surprised and bewildered. What was he trying to do? The Murong family's head went up to him. "Black Heaven sect leader, I don't think it's a good idea for you to come out of nowhere and interfere with the Murong family's internal affairs." Chu Kuangren did not even look at him. He raised his hand and unleashed a palm attack. Even the Murong family's head could not withstand the violent human mountain strength. His entire body was blasted away like a cannonball. "How dare you! You attacked without saying anything. You're too rude and arrogant. Stop him." The Murong family's elders attacked Chu Kuangren one after another. Surges of sword chi exploded and interweaved into a sword net in the void. A cold ray of light shot out from Chu Kuangren's eyes. The descendant self-sword at his waist was unsheathed, and an unparalleled purple sword ray instantly erupted, accompanied by his rage. The sword ray tore through the sword net like a hot knife through butter. The sword chi's aftermath even sent the elders flying. The sword chi's target was not them. It was the Murong family's clan mausoleum. Not good. Quick, stop him. The Murong family's head and the elders were furious. Murong Fong immediately made his move. The contending sun sword unleashed an extremely cold sword chi in an attempt to block Chu Kuangren's attack. However, it was useless. In the past, he could not even block a single attack from Chu Kuangren. Today, Chu Kuangren was no longer the same as before. It was even more impossible for him to block it. The sword ray shattered. Murong Fong, like the other elders, was swept away by the sword chi's aftermath. He could only watch helplessly as the purple sword ray landed on the clan mausoleum. Amidst the loud explosion, a large number of stones shattered. The clan mausoleum collapsed under the attack of the sword, and the coffins were either broken or fell to the ground. At that moment, all the disciples of the Murong family felt a great sense of humiliation. They looked at Chu Kuangren with eyes that could devour him whole. He had destroyed the Murong family's mausoleum. Those who were buried there were the ancestors of the Murong family. Murong Xian is a Daoist of my Black Heaven sect. His mother is also a member of my Black Heaven sect. Since you've caused his birth mother to be unable to rest in peace, I'll make sure that all the ancestors of the Murong clan die without a proper burial. Chu Kuangren's voice was as cold as the wind. Everyone felt a chill down their spine. Black Heaven Sect, do you guys want to start a war? The Murong family's head was so angry that his body was trembling as he roared. Then let's start a war. Chu Kuangren let out a thunderous roar. A terrifying sword-based Daoist rhyme erupted from his body, carrying the rage in his heart that swept in all directions like a tidal wave. The entire Murong family was shocked. Chapter 207. Then let's go to war. Chu Kuangren's thunderous roar shook the entire Murong clan. An unprecedented rage burned in his chest. Murong Xian was a Daoist of the Black Heaven Sect and his junior brother, yet he was treated so unfairly in the Murong clan. If he did not seek justice, he would not deserve to be called Chu Kuangren. The Murong clan's head's expression turned extremely grim. He did not expect Chu Kuangren to be so decisive. Once the Orthodoxy War began, there was no turning back. Between the two orthodoxies, it was either one of them who would perish. Chu Kuangren, Murong Xian is now nothing but a cripple. Are you going to go against the Murong clan for a cripple? At that moment, Murong Hai suddenly said loudly. He revealed the fact that Murong Xian was crippled. After all, a cripple had no value to an orthodoxy. He did not believe that Chu Kuangren would ignore the bigger picture and go to war with the Murong clan for a worthless cripple. Even Murong Xian himself could not help but feel sad when he heard that. Chu Kuangren glanced at Murong Hai before his figure turned into a stream of light and appeared in front of him. He grabbed Murong Hai's neck and lifted him into the air. Who gave you the permission to call him a cripple? Murong Hai's feet kicked back and forth in the air as he said with a flushed face, his meridians are broken, and his spiritual mound is shattered. If you don't believe me, you can go and see for yourself. He's now a cripple. Die. Chu Kuangren's gaze turned cold as violent spiritual power gushed out from his palm, instantly crushing Murong Hai's internal organs. His limbs and bones were all twisted, and he could not be more dead. Chu Kuangren loosened his grip, and Murong Hai's body fell to the ground like a pile of mud. Among the crowd, an elder's face turned pale as he let out a shrill scream. My son. That person was Murong Hai's father. He rushed to Murong Hai's body and saw that he was no longer breathing. Filled with grief and anger, he channeled his spiritual power and Daoist rhymes and slashed at Chu Kuangren. I want you to pay for my son's death. No. Murong Feng hastily shouted when he saw this. Chu Kuangren's combat strength was so terrifying that even he was no match for him, let alone this elder. You and your son shall go together. Chu Kuangren said coldly before he lifted his hand and blasted out a palm attack. An incomparably majestic power erupted from her fair, jade-like palm. Wherever it passed, the void rumbled. This palm smashed the elder's sword chi into smithereens and landed on his head. With a bang, the man's head exploded like a watermelon. When the Murong family members saw this, they felt their scalps go numb. It was too terrifying. It was too terrifying. At this point, Chu Kuangren did not hold back at all. None of these honorable elders could withstand a single palm attack from him. Black Heaven Sect leader, you've gone too far. A suppressive force came from the void, and a mighty sage's might instantly filled the entire place. In the depths of the Murong family, a white-robed old man slowly walked out. It's the fourth patriarch. Great, it's the fourth ancestor. Patriarch Murong and the others were overjoyed. This was because the person who came was the Murong clan's sage. He was also the Murong clan's greatest reliance on the firmament star. Did I go too far? I don't think so at all. Chu Kuangren said indifferently, my Black Heaven Sect's Daoist has been humiliated by you all, and you even dragged out his long-dead mother to humiliate him. I don't think it's too much even if I slaughter the Murong clan. There was an incomparably shocking Daoist rhyme circulating around his body. His frail body was like a divine sword that emanated an unparalleled sharpness. He fought against the sage's aura and was not at a disadvantage. Everyone at the scene was in disbelief. He has broken through to the honorable realm. Murong Yu's pupils shrunk as he said in shock. Even if he had broken through to the honorable realm, it was still too unbelievable to have such strength. Humph, what arrogance. The Murong clan's fourth forefather snorted. He took a step forward and slowly reached out his hand. A majestic surge of spiritual power, accompanied by a surge of sage Daoist rhyme, condensed into a giant hand that covered the sky and grabbed at Chu Kuangren. Let me capture you first, then let the Black Heaven sect sage come and negotiate with me, the Murong clan's fourth forefather said coldly. A sage's attack was earth-shattering. However, there was no fear in Chu Kuangren's eyes. The descendant's self-sword in his hand radiated with an incomparably bright divine light. You think you're worthy of capturing me? With a sneer, Chu Kuangren raised his hand and unleashed a sword attack. A similarly peerless purple sword light slashed out. This sword light was vast and mighty, and it was filled with an emperor's aura. Even the sage's Daoist rhyme was suppressed. An emperor suppressing all abilities. The Murong clan's fourth forefather was a little shocked. He knew that Chu Kuangren possessed an emperor technique, but he did not expect that the Daoist rhyme that Chu Kuangren unleashed could suppress him. How could an existence below the level of a sage possess such terrifying combat strength? Boom! Accompanied by a horrifying explosion, the sword ray and the sage's giant hand collided, and a violent shockwave swept in all directions. Chu Kuangren was pushed back dozens of feet from the impact. On the other hand, a bloody scar appeared on the sage's palm. Chu Kuangren had injured a sage with a single sword attack. Hiss! The people of the Murong clan gasped when they saw this. How? How did he do that? This is impossible. He can injure a sage. Everyone was in shock. To their knowledge, a sage and a person below the level of a sage were two completely different concepts. They could not be compared at all. However, Chu Kuangren had single-handedly shattered their knowledge. A person below the level of a sage could injure a sage. Chu Kuangren came to Lan Yu's side and said, "Bring Murong Xian up to the elusive mirage." "All right." Lan Yu nodded. She kept the corpse on the ground into her yin and yang ring before she carried Murong Xian and flew towards the elusive mirage. Not far away, the Murong clan's head and the others' expressions darkened when they saw that. Capture them. Don't let them leave. One by one, the elders dashed out to stop Lan Yu and Murong Xian. However, Chu Kuangren unleashed his sword chi transformation technique. One by one, sword chi clones dashed out and blocked off the pursuers. Although these sword chi clones only had less than 1/10 of Chu Kuangren's strength, their combat strength was still more terrifying than most honorables. The Murong clan's head and the others could not defeat them at all. They could only watch as Lan Yu brought Murong Xian back to the elusive mirage. Following that, the Daoist patterns on the elusive mirage circulated and a golden defensive chi barrier appeared. It was obvious that it was not going to be easy to break through. D***, this Chu Kuangren knows how to create clones. How does he have so many tricks up his sleeves? D***. The Murong clan's head and the others were furious. Meanwhile, the Murong clan's fourth forefather looked at the bloody wound on his palm and then at Chu Kuangren with a murderous look in his eyes. This kid is too much of a monster. He has already fallen out with the Murong clan. If I don't kill him now, he will become a huge threat in the future. At that thought, he had already made up his mind. The sage Daoist rhyme on his body circulated, and his spiritual power continuously slammed into the void like a tidal wave. The heavens and earth rumbled. A sage's rage was earth-shattering. Chu Kuangren sensed his opponent's murderous intent, and his eyes were equally cold. I'd like to see if a sage can kill me. Chapter 208. When a sage's killing intent was triggered, the weather changed. The vast and boundless sage aura surged towards Chu Kuangren like a tsunami, continuously impacting his body. If it were a few days ago, Chu Kuangren would not stand a chance against a sage, but things were different now. He had broken through to the honorable realm and even formed a supreme honorable foundation level. He was much stronger than when he was still in the battle monarch realm. The 6 supreme foundation levels in his body radiated with divine light, and Daoist rhymes circulated around his body. His entire body was like a peerless divine sword, showing off its sharpness. Chu Kuangren, let's fight. The Murong clan's 4th forefather suddenly attacked. He raised his palm and turned it into a giant palm that pressed down. The sage Daoist rhymes erupted, and an extremely pure sage realm spiritual power poured out like a flood. Chu Kuangren did not retreat. He raised his hand to gather earth chi and unleashed a palm attack of his own. A majestic ancient godly mountain appeared in the void. Boom, boom. A torrent of energy erupted in the void, and surges of spiritual power poured out like a hurricane. The surrounding buildings were destroyed, the ground cracked, smoke billowed, and gravel flew like cannonballs. The people of the Murong clan were shocked when they saw that. Quick, retreat now. We can't resist this kind of power. Run. D*MN it's too scary. Everyone was terrified as they frantically ran into the distance. However, many of them were still affected by the shockwaves and their bodies exploded. Look, it's the clan mausoleum. Suddenly, someone exclaimed. Under the battle between Chu Kuangren and the Murong clan's 4th forefather, the clan mausoleum that had already collapsed was swept away again. Many corpses flew out from the coffins and were crushed by the shockwaves, turning into ashes. This made the Murong clan's head and the others furious. Some elders were so enraged that they vomited blood on the spot. Those were the ancestors of the Murong clan. B****, that goddamn Chu Kuangren. What a tragedy for our clan. Some of the elders of the Murong clan knelt on the ground and cried. The Murong clan's 4th forefather was even more furious. He stared at Chu Kuangren and said angrily, I'll skin you alive to comfort my ancestors. Chu Kuangren sneered when he heard that. Are you kidding me? Don't make it sound like you had nothing to do with it. Didn't you attack too? If you really want to comfort your Murong family's ancestors, I think you should commit suicide right now and use your death as an apology. You, evil creature. Die for me. The Murong clan's 4th forefather made his move again. This time, a sword appeared in his hand. With a slash of the sword, the piercingly cold sword chi was like a tornado. Chu Kuangren also unleashed his heaven-slaying sword-drawing technique. As the two forces collided, the sword chi swept out in all directions. Chu Kuangren and the Murong clan's 4th forefather were also impacted by the sword chi and were forced to retreat. He actually has the strength to fight a saint. The Murong clan's 4th ancestor was shocked. At that moment, a terrifying Daoist rhyme erupted from the depths of the Murong family, and a mighty sword light shot out. However, that sword ray was not aimed at Chu Kuangren. Their target was the illusionary mirage high up in the sky. Boom! When the sword struck the elusive mirage, a loud sound rang out. Ripples appeared on the elusive mirage's golden light barrier. Although the commotion was huge, the elusive mirage's golden light barrier remained unscathed. Are you trying to threaten me by capturing the people around me? Is this the demeanor of the Murong clan sage? Come out now. Chu Kuangren yelled and the soul retriever shot out from his body. The soul retriever flew straight into the depths of the Murong clan's territory. Not long after, a white-robed figure who had evaded the soul retriever flew out. That person was holding a long sword, and there were surges of sage Daoist rhyme emanating from his body. Obviously, that person was also a sage. It's the 2nd forefather. There are 2 sages in the Murong clan, the 4th and 2nd forefathers. They've always been elusive, but they've all come out today. Moreover, they're all here to deal with Chu Kuangren. This Chu Kuangren is too terrifying. Seeing that the Murong clan's 2nd forefather had also appeared, the crowd could not help but be shocked. What kind of bloody weapon is that? The Murong clan's second forefather looked at the soul retriever that was chasing after him with an ugly expression. The gloomy fluctuations that emanated from the soul retriever made him shudder. He could only channel his spiritual power to resist the soul retriever's approach. Upon seeing that, Chu Kuangren retracted the soul retriever. The soul retriever was indeed powerful, but if he could not attack his opponent, he would not be able to use its soul retriever's power. With Chu Kuangren's current cultivation level, it would still be difficult for him to use the soul retriever against a sage. Both Murong clan sages have shown up. Very well, very well. Chu Kuangren sneered, still showing no signs of backing down. This person has too many tricks up his sleeves. I initially wanted to capture Murong Xian and that lady to negotiate with him, but I didn't expect the ferry boat's defensive formation to be so powerful that it could withstand a sage's attack. The Murong clan's second forefather said with a complicated look in his eyes. Soul retriever, elusive mirage, these were things that he had never heard of before. Chu Kuangren had too many secrets on him. Let's work together to capture this person first. No, kill him. The Murong clan's fourth forefather said coldly. Kill him? Then the Black Heaven sect. Second forefather, now that things have come to this, do you think the Black Heaven sect and the Murong clan still have any room for negotiation? In my opinion, this person is the biggest variable. If we keep him alive, he'll definitely destroy the Murong clan in the future. There was still a hint of hesitation in the Murong clan's second forefather's eyes. Second forefather, if we don't act decisively, we'll be in trouble. All right then, we'll do as you say. The Murong clan's second forefather nodded with a murderous intent in his eyes. Facing the murderous intent of two sages, Chu Kuangren felt an unprecedented pressure. Come at me then. He took out the sacred emerald sword case, and 24 treasured swords flew out at the same time, forming a terrifying sword formation that charged towards the two sages. The 4 seasons sword formation's third form, the 24 solar terms. With Chu Kuangren's current cultivation level, this formation was much more powerful than before. It was much more powerful now. Within the sword formation, the sky was filled with sword chi. The 4 seasons rotated, the sun and the moon alternated, and waves of mysterious Daoist rhymes circulated, shaking the heavens and earth. What a powerful sword formation. I can't believe he still has such a technique up his sleeve. The Murong clan's 2 sages were shocked. How many more techniques did this person have up his sleeves? Not enough, this is still not enough. Chu Kuangren murmured. The 6 supreme foundation levels within his body radiated with rays of divine light, and the exquisite 9 orifices sword heart's 3 great transformations were activated. The sword of the heavens, 9 heavens sword prison, green lotus sword song. Somewhere in the Murong clan, waves of sword chants resonated with the exquisite 9 orifices sword heart, and one by one, the swords shot into the sky like a torrent. That's the hidden sword pavilion. Why are the hidden sword pavilion's swords flying out on their own? It's his Daoist physique that's attracting these swords. D***mn it, so this is the supreme Daoist physique, the exquisite 9 orifices sword heart. It's too mysterious, and it's a nightmare for all sword cultivators. Every cultivator of the Murong clan was shocked. As a swordsmanship family, the Murong clan naturally had many treasured swords. Countless swords circled around Chu Kuangren. He picked out the best 341 swords and added them into the sword formation. Instantly, the 4 seasons sword formation was upgraded. The 24 solar terms sword formation had transformed into the 365 days sword formation. The 4 seasons sword formation's highest form. Unparalleled sword chi brewed within the sword formation, and even the Murong clan's 2 sages felt waves of pressure. Using the Murong clan's swords to deal with the Murong clan's sages is rather appropriate. Chu Kuangren sneered. Those words made all the cultivators at the scene curse him for being shameless. The second sage was so angry that his body started to tremble. Chapter 209. The highest form of the Four Seasons sword formation was made up of 365 swords. The sword formation emitted a towering sword chi that surrounded the two Murong clan sages like a giant sphere. The sword chi continued to attack them. The waves of sword chi were so powerful that even the two sages found it difficult to deal with them. This sword formation was just too powerful. What kind of sword formation is this? Why haven't I heard of it before? The Murong clan's fourth forefather destroyed a ball of sword chi with a single slash. He tried to rush out of the sword formation several times but was forced back. Chu Kuangren activated the three great transformations of the exquisite nine orifices sword heart. All the swords were under his control as if they were part of his body. Countless swords circled around and formed an orderly sword formation. The Daoist rhymes of the Four Seasons circulated. It was extremely mysterious. The sword chi was either as fierce as thunder, as fierce as fire, or as swift as the wind. The Four Seasons rotated, and all natural phenomena were within the formation. This was a legendary grade sword formation. If Chu Kuangren had enough cultivation, he could easily kill the two Murong clan sages by activating this sword formation. Even if he was only an honorable now, with this sword formation, he could easily take on two sages. This formation is difficult to break. You and I are both inside it. To break it, we must start from Chu Kuangren, the Murong clan's second forefather said. He looked at the Murong clan's head and the others. The Murong clan's head and the others understood and said loudly, "Dear elders, the Murong clan has suffered a great calamity today. It's time for us to sacrifice ourselves for the clan. Everyone, please follow me to kill that Black Heaven bastard. Chu Kuangren has destroyed our Murong clan's tomb and destroyed our ancestral tablets. This is an irreconcilable grudge. We must kill him. Elders above the honorable realm, follow me. Even if it's just to distract him, it'll be good enough for the two sages to break the formation. Kill." One by one, the Murong clan's elders rushed towards Chu Kuangren. The surging murderous intent and surging sword chi were extremely powerful. Kill me? Humph, what a joke. Even if you don't kill me, I won't let you go. Chu Kuangren said coldly. His silhouette flickered and four sword chi clones appeared. With his current strength, each of the four sword chi clones had the strength of an honorable supreme. They were extremely terrifying. The four clones picked up the treasured swords on the ground and stood around Chu Kuangren to protect him. Any cultivator who got too close to them was blasted away by the sword chi. A fierce battle ensued. Bang! With a single slash, Murong Yu was sent flying. He fell to the ground and spat out a mouthful of blood. He looked at Chu Kuangren, who was in the air, with a horrified expression. I can't even take a single strike from his clone. Why is he so strong? Murong Yu couldn't believe it. Both of them were from the same generation, so why was Chu Kuangren so much stronger than him? Even a clone was enough to make him feel despair. This won't do. This doppelganger is simply too strong. If it's like this, we won't be able to hurt this person at all. The Murong family's head said unwillingly. Where did this guy get this technique from? Cloning techniques were rare to begin with. Chu Kuangren's ability to summon so many clones was even more unheard of. It was definitely not as simple as a sage technique. Could it be that this is the sword gauntlet's opportunity of fortune? One of the elders said in shock. He had heard about Chu Kuangren ascending to the top of the sword gauntlet, so he naturally associated this unheard of sword chi clones with the sword gauntlet's opportunity of fortune. No matter what, let's think of a way to deal with him first. Go get the Lin family's head and let them deal with this person together. The Lin family was an honorable orthodoxy that was second only to the Murong family in the city. It was also the maiden family of the Murong family's head. The Murong family and the Lin family were closely related. Now that the Murong family was in trouble, there was no reason for the Lin family to do nothing. One of the elders went to get the Lin family's help. Not long after, a large group of people rushed over from afar. They were the Lin family. When they saw the two Murong sages trapped in the sword formation, they could not help but be dumbfounded. When they looked at Chu Kuangren again, they felt dizzy. F***CK. What's going on? Two sages are trapped by an honorable. This world must be crazy. The Lin family's head could not help but gulp as he looked at the Murong family's mess. What kind of enemy did the Murong family provoke? Before he could figure it out, the Murong family's head shouted, "Lin family's head, you're finally here. Let's deal with this thief together. Brother Murong, who is this person?" We'll talk about this later. Our two families are closely related, so now that the Murong family is in trouble, you can't just ignore it. The Lin family's head pondered for a while. Alright, I understand. On the surface, the Lin family and the Murong family were allies, but in reality, the Lin family had always been the Murong family's vassal. If they just stood by and watched, the Murong family would not let them go. Chu Kuangren calmly controlled the sword formation even when he was surrounded by the Murong family and Lin family. Do you think you can beat me in numbers? Surges of sword chi shot out from Chu Kuangren's body. Each sword chi was a sword chi clone that filled the sky. Although the more sword chi clones there were, the weaker its power would be. Not everyone from the Murong family and Lin family was an honorable. Looking at the sky full of sword chi clones, the Lin family's head was dumbfounded. What kind of technique is this? Murong family, you've tricked me. Countless sword chi clones rushed towards them. One person was like an entire army, and the Murong family's people felt pressured. They had never experienced a battle like this before. What a terrifying clone technique! Murong clan's fourth ancestor exclaimed. Then, he sneered and said, "But you're activating the sword formation, and you're also using the cloning technique. How much spiritual energy do you have left, and how long can you last? It seems like you guys don't know enough about me." What do you mean? If you knew about the battle at the Weeping Demon Mountain, you wouldn't have said such naive things, Chu Kuangren said. He then raised his hand to activate the gluttonous devouring technique, and a terrifying suction force erupted from his body. The cultivators' corpses around him turned into countless blood and flesh essences that he absorbed to replenish his spiritual power. The Murong family's two sages widened their eyes in shock. They were dumbfounded. There's such a technique? F***CK me. What's the point of fighting now? Sword chi clones, gluttonous devouring technique, this Chu Kuangren is not afraid of group battles at all. He alone is an entire army, and it's the kind of invincible army that will not consume any energy. This won't do. If this goes on, the Murong family will be massacred by him before we can even get out of this formation. The Murong family's second forefather said anxiously. Chu Kuangren, I want to negotiate. You want to negotiate? No way. Chu Kuangren said coldly. Chu Kuangren, as far as I know, Murong Xian is already a cripple. As a sect leader, are you really going to disregard the bigger picture and go against us for the sake of a cripple? When I took over as sect leader, I swore that no one can bully the Black Heavens sect while I'm still here. You've humiliated the Black Heavens sect's Daoist and destroyed his cultivation. There's no room for negotiation, and the Murong family must pay the price. You've destroyed the Murong family's mausoleum and killed so many of our people. Is that not enough? No, it's still not enough. You, the Murong family's second forefather, was so angry that he was speechless. He was so angry that his eyes almost popped out of their sockets. He could not figure out how there could be someone like Chu Kuangren in this world who did whatever he wanted and did things so unscrupulously. Chapter 210. Chu Kuangren, you really won't rest until you die. The Murong clan's fourth forefather shouted coldly. I won't rest until I die. What can you do about it? Chu Kuangren replied coldly. Do you really think that we can't break your sword formation? Why don't you give it a try? The Murong clan's fourth forefather's expression changed. Then, he gritted his teeth and an incredibly powerful aura erupted from his body. Sage Daoist rhymes constantly manifested around him and formed into a giant purplish-blue sword shadow. Surges of sharp intent emanated from it as if it wanted to tear the void apart. Break! The Murong clan's fourth forefather held onto the giant sword shadow and flew out. The sword struck the sword formation, and the purplish-blue sword shadow collided with the sword formation's sword chi, causing terrifying sonic booms to erupt. The Murong clan's fourth forefather used the sword chi to break through the sword formation, but the surrounding sword chi also landed on his body. Although he had the body of a sage, he was still cut by the sword chi and was soon riddled with wounds. He disregarded everything and vowed to break the sword formation. Boom! In the end, the Murong clan's fourth forefather, who had exhausted all his strength and suffered serious injuries, finally managed to tear a hole in the sword formation. Chu Kuangren. Die. The Murong clan's fourth forefather was unstoppable. The purplish-blue sword shadow had already dissipated, but his figure still rushed towards Chu Kuangren like a meteor. The long sword in his hand was filled with endless power. Sage Daoist rhymes circulated around him and locked onto Chu Kuangren. Human Mountain Stamp. Chu Kuangren raised his hand and unleashed a palm attack, but the majestic godly mountain was forcefully penetrated by the Murong clan's fourth forefather's unstoppable sword attack. The meteor-like sword ray pierced Chu Kuangren's body and directly penetrated his chest. A large amount of sword chi was frantically destroying his body. The Murong clan's fourth forefather revealed a proud smile. We did it. The other cultivators of the Murong clan were also ecstatic. They had finally killed that madman. Yes, we did it. At that moment, Chu Kuangren also had a smile on his face. Before the Murong clan's fourth forefather could react, a black chain with a hook flew out from Chu Kuangren's body. Oh no! At that moment, the Murong clan's fourth ancestor wanted to dodge. However, his hand was held tightly by Chu Kuangren. He could only watch helplessly as the soul retriever penetrated his body. A gust of gloomy chi filled his entire body, and even his sage body stiffened. Then, he felt his consciousness being stripped away. His soul was pulled out of his body by the Soul Reaper chain. How is this possible? All the cultivators of the Murong family were shocked. The second patriarch was about to hit him. The violent sword chi and Daoist rhyme should have shattered his limbs, bones, internal organs, and even his heart in an instant. Why isn't he dead yet? It really hurts. Chu Kuangren grinned as he spoke. He grabbed the sword that was stuck in his chest and pulled it out forcefully, causing a stream of blood to spurt out. Then, the bloody hole in his chest and the sword marks on his body recovered at an extremely fast speed. Immortal body. What kind of monster are you? The Murong clan's fourth forefather, who was trapped by the soul retriever, felt his soul tremble when he saw that. It was not that there were no techniques that could heal injuries, and the Murong clan's third forefather had seen many of them over the years. However, when Chu Kuangren was hit, his internal organs, including his heart, should have been crushed by the sword chi. The Murong clan's third forefather had never heard of such a cultivation technique that allowed him to recover so quickly in such a situation. If it weren't for the immortal body leveling up to the third stage when I broke through to the honorable realm, I'm afraid this battle would have been a little dangerous. Chu Kuangren murmured. The third stage of the immortal body. Undying after being crushed. The immortal body of this realm was extremely terrifying. There were no vital points on the body, so whether one's arm, head, or even body was chopped off, he could quickly recover. Crushing his internal organs? Shattering his heart? Those were all child's play. It could not kill him at all. Unless one used absolute strength to destroy him, such as completely crushing his body into dust, he could still come back to life. Unfortunately, the Murong clan's fourth forefather did not have such an ability. Chu Kuangren looked at the Murong clan's fourth forefather, raised his hand, and sucked his body into the avarice dimension. With the flesh and blood essence of a sage's body, his spiritual power was rapidly recovering, and it even showed signs of improving. One of the Murong clan's two sages has died first. Chu Kuangren sneered. He channeled his spiritual power into the soul retriever, and with a violent pull, a dark energy that targeted the soul exploded from the soul retriever. The Murong clan's fourth forefather's soul could not withstand it, and he let out a heart-wrenching scream. Then, his soul body shattered inch by inch, and his soul dissipated. On this day, Chu Kuangren killed a sage. The sky rumbled, and a muffled thunder exploded. With the firmament star's great Dharma emergence, even the death of a sage would only cause such a phenomenon. There was not even a drop of rain. However, that did not stop the crowd from being shocked. No matter what, that was still a sage. A peerless existence that stood above the billions of living beings. The Murong clans and Lin clans' cultivators became extremely terrified. A sage. A sage is dead. He killed a sage, oh my god. Chu Kuangren killed a sage. The cultivators at the scene looked at Chu Kuangren, and they had already lost the will to fight him. They were no match for him at all. Even the Murong clan's second forefather was horrified. A sage was dead. Chu Kuangren could kill a sage. For a long time, the Murong clan's second forefather, who had always regarded everyone as ants, felt the threat of death. At that moment, he was afraid of this young man who was not even 20 years old. Especially when Chu Kuangren's gaze landed on him, he could not help but feel his scalp go numb, and a hint of fear appeared in his eyes. Brother Chu, let's talk. As far as I know, we're not the ones who crippled Murong Xian. It was the black stain plumes that did it. We have nothing to do with it. The Murong clan's second forefather said loudly, ready to admit defeat. Oh, the black stain plumes. Chu Kuangren grabbed a Murong clan's disciple and asked, what's the black stain plumes? The Black Stain Plumes is an assassin organization in the Black Warrior domain. That disciple did not resist at all in front of Chu Kuangren. He trembled as he told Chu Kuangren everything he knew about the Black Stain Plumes. Chu Kuangren laughed. An assassin organization. An assassin organization that only works for profit. You're telling me that they would touch Murong Xian for no reason? Do you think I'm stupid? Who's the mastermind behind this? Brother Chu, should I hand over the mastermind and let this matter rest? The Murong clan's second forefather gritted his teeth and said. Do you think you have the right to negotiate with me now? If you don't tell me, I'll kill them one by one. I don't believe that no one will tell me. It's the Lin clan. The Murong clan's second forefather said. The entire Murong clan was under his control. He also knew about the incident with Murong Xian, but he did not pay attention to it. He did not expect that it would lead to such a huge disaster. At that moment, he hated the Lin clan to the core. In the crowd, the face of the noblewoman beside the Murong clan's head turned extremely pale. Sage, how can you do this? Buzz, a sword ray flashed past. The Lin clan was sliced in half on the spot. Other than her, who else could it be? No one else. What about Murong Yu? Did he really not know that his mother hired someone to kill him? Or could it be that the one who did it wasn't the Lin clan, but her precious son instead? Chu Kuangren sneered. Before he killed the Lin clan, he had already figured out her identity. Naturally, he knew about the relationship between Murong Yu and the Lin clan. Chapter 211. This matter has nothing to do with me. Before the Murong clan's second forefather could say anything, Murong Yu had already taken the initiative to speak up. He was already scared out of his wits when he saw Chu Kuangren killing a sage. When he heard that he was implicated in Murong Xian's death, he immediately denied it. As for avenging his mother, he did not care at all. My mother did this all on her own. It has nothing to do with me, Murong Yu said loudly. Chu Kuangren glanced at him and sneered. What a filial son you are. A few of his sword chi clones appeared in front of Murong Yu. Terrifying sword chi erupted and intertwined into a net of sword chi. Whether or not Murong Yu was the one who killed Murong Xian, Chu Kuangren did not mind killing him since he was a descendant of the Lin clan. No. Murong Yu was terrified and quickly used his sword to block the attack. The Murong clan's head and the others wanted to help, but they were helpless against a few sword chi clones. Not long after, Murong Yu was completely killed by the sword chi. A surge of primordial emperor's essence flew out and was caught by Chu Kuangren. Without even looking at it, he threw it into his yin and yang ring. My son. The Murong clan's head's eyes were bloodshot. Murong Yu was a young emperor whom he had high hopes for, but now he was killed by Chu Kuangren right in front of him. He was furious, but at the same time, he felt a great sense of helplessness. In front of Chu Kuangren, this sage orthodoxy leader was nothing. Chu Kuangren's strength was much stronger than his. Chu Kuangren, that's enough. You've destroyed my clan's mausoleum, killed a sage, killed a young emperor, and killed so many of my people. What more do you want? The Murong clan's second forefather roared. He was filled with grief and anger. Chu Kuangren had gone to such lengths just for Murong Xian, a crippled Murong Xian. Was there any justice in this world? Chu Kuangren was a lunatic. I still want to do one last thing. Kill another sage. Chu Kuangren said coldly. Since things had come to this, he would not give the Murong clan any chance to make a comeback. He did not mind going even further. The two saints of the Murong family could not be left alive. Sensing the cold murderous intent in Chu Kuangren's eyes, the Murong clan's second forefather shuddered and looked at Chu Kuangren in disbelief. The other party actually wanted to kill two saints today. Amidst the sea of clouds, a streak of light streaked across the sky. It was a white-haired old man. The old man's face was filled with anxiety. This little fellow is really too impulsive. He actually dares to go to the Murong family alone. No matter what, that's still a sage orthodoxy. With two sages holding down the fort, what should we do if anything were to happen to them? This old man was none other than the Dark Heaven's second forefather. He was the most senior person in the Black Heaven sect. When he heard that Chu Kuangren had gone to the Murong clan alone to find trouble with them, he became anxious. To him, Chu Kuangren was the future and hope of the Black Heaven sect. He was the one who would lead the Black Heaven sect to glory and resurgence. If something were to happen to him in the Murong family, Black Heaven's second forefather did not dare to think any further. A cold light shot out from his eyes. Murong's second saint, if you dare to touch that little fellow, I'll kill you even if I have to risk my life. Black Heaven's second forefather quickly made his way to the Murong clan. He was a sage, and his speed was his forte. It did not take long for him to arrive at the city where the Murong clan was and saw the gigantic elusive mirage. What kind of ferry boat is that? It's too terrifying. Hold on. There are people on the ferry boat. It's Murong Xian and Lan Yu. Don't tell me that the little fellow drove this thing to the Murong clan? Black Heaven's second forefather was a little surprised. No wonder he did not see Chu Kuangren and Lan Yu along the way. It seemed that the ferry boat's speed was extraordinary. Then, he looked in the direction of the Murong clan. With a single glance, he was immediately dumbfounded. What's going on? What did he just see? The entire Murong clan was in ruins, and even the clan mausoleum was destroyed. Coffins were scattered all over the ground. It was too terrifying. Could this be the doing of the little fellow? Heavens, the Murong clan's second sage would never forgive him. Black Heaven's second forefather continued to search the Murong clan with his spiritual thought and soon found Chu Kuangren. However, the scene in front of him made his spiritual thought tremble violently. His pupils shrunk as he wondered if his eyes were playing tricks on him. The scene where Chu Kuangren was at a disadvantage or even imprisoned did not happen. On the contrary, Chu Kuangren was suppressing the sage. What a mysterious sword formation, and this cloning technique. I've never heard of it before. This little guy really has a lot of trump cards up his sleeves. But where's the Murong clan's fourth forefather? Black Heaven's second forefather was puzzled. His spiritual thoughts scanned the entire Murong clan, but he could not find any trace of the Murong clan's fourth forefather. He could not care less anymore. He dashed towards Chu Kuangren's direction, and a majestic surge of sword chi erupted from his body. Who dares to bully the Black Heaven sect leader? His thunderous roar shook the entire Murong clan. Black Heaven's second forefather had appeared. The Murong clan's second forefather and the others were so furious that they almost vomited blood. Bully the Black Heaven sect leader? Are you kidding me? Open your eyes and see who's the bully here. The Murong clan's vitality was greatly damaged. The clan mausoleum was destroyed, their sage was killed, their young emperor was killed, and countless elders and disciples were either injured or killed. On the other hand, Chu Kuangren's immortal body was unscathed. How did they end up being the ones bullying him? How shameless could they be? Forefather, you're here. Chu Kuangren had never met the Black Heaven's second forefather before, but he knew that he was the Black Heaven sect sage. Forefather, I've killed the Murong clan's fourth forefather. Now, only the Murong clan's second forefather is left. Let's join forces and kill him. Chu Kuangren said coldly. Black Heaven's second forefather's pupils shrunk as he felt his scalp tingle. F***ck. No wonder he could not find the Murong clan's fourth forefather. He was killed by Chu Kuangren. Chu Kuangren could actually kill a sage. All right. Black Heaven's second forefather's eyes lit up when he recovered from his shock. The relationship between the one mountain, one sect, and two families was not harmonious. Now that there was a chance to completely destroy the Murong clan, Black Heaven's second forefather would not let it go. He joined forces with Chu Kuangren to attack the Murong clan's second forefather. The Murong clan's second forefather was already scared out of his wits by Chu Kuangren. Now that Black Heaven's second forefather had joined forces, they had no chance of winning at all. In less than half an hour, he was killed. His sage spirit wanted to escape, but it was bound by the soul retriever. Chu Kuangren only needed to use his mind to destroy his opponent's soul. As for the remaining sage's body, Chu Kuangren did not let it go either. He sucked it into the avarice dimension and refined it. It's over. The Murong clan is finished. The Murong clan's head slumped onto the ground, his face filled with despair. With the death of the second sage, the Murong clan had fallen from grace. After this battle, the Murong clan, which was originally famous, would not be able to recover from this setback and would be removed from the list of sage orthodoxies. Young man, what do you plan to do with the rest of them? Black Heaven's second forefather asked. Sect leader, forefather, it's enough. At that moment, Murong Xian's voice came from the upper floor. He glanced at the ruined Murong clan. They've paid the price. It was not that he was soft-hearted. It was just that there was karma in this world. Aside from those who bullied him, there were also many innocent people in the Murong clan. Murong Xian did not want to see Chu Kuangren kill too many people for his sake. He did not want to be tainted by karma, which would affect his future luck. Chapter 212. Upon hearing Murong Xian's words, the murderous intent in Chu Kuangren's eyes gradually receded, but the lingering murderous intent on his body was still terrifying. With a lift of his arm, he kept all the treasured swords into his sword case. The Murong clan's swords are not bad, so I'll take them for myself. Chu Kuangren said. He took all 341 treasured swords from the Murong clan in one go. The Murong clan's head spat out a mouthful of blood. Those treasured swords were the Murong clan's most valuable and best quality swords. There were even a few sacred swords on it. Chu Kuangren took them away just like that. But there was nothing he could do. Chu Kuangren had killed 2 sages in a row. Who would dare to say no? After that, Chu Kuangren and Black Heaven's second forefather returned to the elusive mirage, but they did not leave. Instead, it floated in the air above the Murong family like a giant ancient beast that could eat people at any time, causing everyone to tremble in fear. Why isn't he leaving yet? Has he not killed enough? The members of the Murong clan looked at each other in dismay. Their faces were filled with fear. However, to their relief, although the elusive mirage was floating above them, it did not make any big movements. Above the elusive mirage, Chu Kuangren was checking on Murong Xian's injuries. His external injuries and meridians were still manageable since a spring breeze healing technique could heal them quickly. However, the damage to his spiritual mound was troublesome. Sect leader, I'm already a cripple. Why do you still need to worry about me? Murong Xian smiled bitterly. Even an alchemy master would be helpless against a spiritual mound injury. In his opinion, he would never be able to cultivate again in this life. If your heart is crippled, then you're truly crippled. Chu Kuangren said indifferently. What's the use of having the heart but not the strength? Are you so sure that I can't cure you? Murong Xian's eyes flashed with hope when he heard that. Sect leader, can you really cure me? No one wanted to be a cripple, especially a proud Daoist like Murong Xian, who found it hard to accept. Besides, he would be worthless to the Black Heaven sect if he continued to be a cripple. He would not be able to shine for the Black Heaven sect, and he would not be able to repay the sect leader who had helped him so much. Nonsense, is there anything that I, your sect leader, can't do? I can even kill a saint, let alone a small injury of the spiritual ruin. Chu Kuangren laughed. Really? Why would I lie to you? Chu Kuangren rolled his eyes and said, all right, you can go and rest now. Yes, sect master. Murong Xian left the room filled with hope. After he left, Chu Kuangren's expression instantly turned grim. D*M and the Murong clan and Black Stain Plumes. Black Heaven's second forefather appeared in the void. He sighed. You really can't do anything about it. The spiritual mound was the source of a cultivator's strength. Once the spiritual mound was damaged, the cultivator would basically be considered as crippled. It was too difficult to treat such an injury. Even an alchemist grandmaster would be helpless. If there's no other way, why not just tell him directly? Giving him hope like this will only make him feel more hopeless in the future, Black Heaven's second forefather said in confusion. He did not believe that Chu Kuangren did not understand this principle. Who said I can't do anything about it? Did I guess wrong? Can you really heal spiritual mound injuries? Black Heaven's second forefather asked in surprise. I can't now, but that doesn't mean I can't in the future. I'll research it even if I have to, Chu Kuangren said with a determined gaze. That's too difficult. Black Heaven's second forefather was a little shocked. He did not expect Chu Kuangren to have such an idea. Research a way to heal spiritual mound injuries himself? Black Heaven's second forefather dared not imagine how difficult it would be. How would I know if I don't try? Chu Kuangren was now an alchemy grandmaster, so he had countless pill recipes in his mind. Among them, there were indeed a few that could heal Murong Xian's spiritual mound, but none of them could. Even so, he did not give up. Since there was none, he would use these countless pill recipes as a template and research it himself. Methods were always thought of by humans. All right then. Black Heaven's second forefather was not proficient in alchemy, so he could only hope that Chu Kuangren could succeed and create an unprecedented feat. Lan Yu, go to the Murong clan later and ask them to do something for me. A cold glare shot out from Chu Kuangren's eyes. Please tell me, master. News of Chu Kuangren wreaking havoc in the Murong clan and killing 2 sages swept through the city like a hurricane, and it continued to spread to the whole firmament star. All the forces and orthodoxies who received the news were shocked. In the city, everyone on the streets was talking about the great battle that had just ended not long ago. They looked at the elusive mirage in the sky with fear in their eyes. This Chu Kuangren is too terrifying. A cultivator could not help but exclaim. Yeah, he killed 2 sages just like that. An entire sage orthodoxy was destroyed by him just like that. Killing a sage who is below the level of a sage. How can there be such a terrifying existence in this world? This is simply illogical. I heard that Chu Kuangren went to the Murong clan to seek justice for a disciple. TSK, this sect leader is too awesome. Yeah, I'm starting to feel like joining the Black Heaven sect. I have to have you as well. Look, someone's coming down. Someone in the crowd suddenly exclaimed. Everyone looked over and saw a figure flying down from the elusive mirage. It's a woman. It's young Emperor Lan Yu. She's going to the Murong clan? No way. Haven't they had enough yet? Everyone looked at each other and felt sorry for the Murong clan. It was too difficult for them to meet such a tough opponent. The Murong clan. Many of the Murong clan's disciples were cleaning up the battlefield. That battle was too tragic. Moreover, it was a one-sided battle against the Murong clan. On the other hand, Chu Kuangren was unscathed. Every time they thought of that, everyone in the Murong clan would feel terrified and secretly refer to Chu Kuangren as a monster. Someone's coming down from the ferry boat. At that moment, one of the Murong clan's disciples screamed in fear. The rest of them were on guard as well. A beautiful figure dressed in gorgeous silver-white armor appeared in front of them. It was Lan Yu. Everyone looked at her, their gazes filled with wariness. Although they did not see Chu Kuangren, they were also afraid of the people around him. Even if this person was extremely beautiful, it would still be the same. After all, wasn't Chu Kuangren also a peerless man? However, when he killed someone, it was a clean kill. The Murong clan's disciples were terrified. What are you doing here? A figure walked out from the Murong clan. It was Murong Feng. I'm here to pass on a message from my master. Chu Kuangren has already pushed the Murong clan to this point. What else does he want? Murong Feng gritted his teeth. At the same time, he blamed himself. If he did not bring Murong Xian back to the Murong clan and hurt him so much, the Murong clan would not be in this state today. You guys brought this upon yourselves. Don't blame my master. Lan Yu said indifferently. What else does Chu Kuangren want us to do? My master wants information on the black stain plumes. Go and get it. The more detailed, the better. I'll come and get it tomorrow morning. Murong Feng's eyes narrowed. Chu Kuangren still wants to deal with the black stain plumes? No one can bully the Black Heaven sect. Whether it's the Murong clan or the black stain plumes, they must pay the price. Chapter 213. Lan Yu relayed Chu Kuangren's orders to the Murong clan. Murong Feng pondered for a moment before he said, all right. They had no right to reject Chu Kuangren's request, so they quickly sent people to gather information about the black stain plumes. The next day, in the elusive mirage that was floating high up in the sky, Chu Kuangren, who had been studying the pill recipe for the entire night, slowly opened his eyes. He felt a slight pain in his temples. Researching pill recipes really isn't something humans should do. If this goes on, I'm going to go bald, he said as he rubbed the space between his brows. However, Murong Xian was his junior brother, so he could not just ignore him. Forget it, let's draw a prize and relax. Chu Kuangren said as he opened the roulette. Without even looking at it, he let it spin on its own. Congratulations to the host for drawing the legendary item, Heaven Evolution Pill Tome. Heaven Evolution Pill Cannon? Pill? Chu Kuangren's eyes lit up as he quickly retrieved the Vitality Pill Tome. A Rubik's Cube appeared in front of him. Yes, it was a Rubik's Cube. It was a simple and unadorned Rubik's Cube with runes winding around it. Isn't it supposed to be a pill ceremony? Why is there a Rubik's Cube? Chu Kuangren muttered. As soon as his voice fell, the Rubik's Cube began to spin. Then, a beam of light shot out from the Rubik's Cube, turning into a palm-sized child. The child looked to be only 5 or 6 years old. He wore a dudu and had braided hair. He had red lips and white teeth, and his little face was chubby. Hello, Master. The Heaven Evolution Pill Cannon is at your service. the kid said to Chu Kuangren as he hovered in midair. You are an artifact spirit? I'm the artifact spirit of the Heaven Evolution Pill Canon that has been passed down since ancient times. Master, you can call me Little Tian. A smug look appeared on Lil Tian's face. Chu Kuangren was rather surprised. He didn't expect that this Heaven Evolution Pill Canon would actually have an artifact spirit. This artifact spirit was too rare. Even an emperor weapon might not have one. The only weapon he had seen that possessed complete intelligence was the Kunwu sword that had fused with a sword soul. Now, there was the Heaven Evolution Pill Canon. Little Tian, I want to repair my spiritual ruins. Can you help me? Master's spiritual ruin is damaged? No, a friend of mine. Alright, no problem. I'll help Master look for it. Little Tian drilled into the Rubik's Cube, and the entire Rubik's Cube spun rapidly. Not long after, Little Tian drilled out again. Master, I found it. Little Tian waved his hand, and countless characters appeared in the void. It was a pill recipe for a pill called the Spiritual Supplement Pill. This pill could be used to repair the spirit ruins. Great. Chu Kuangren's eyes lit up. He did not expect that the problem that had troubled him for an entire night would be solved by Lil Tian just like that. This Heaven Evolution Pill Canon was truly too powerful. Oh no, it should be said that the lucky halo was too powerful. It just so happened that he drew this Heavenly Evolution Pill Canon. Chu Kuangren carefully looked at the pill recipe and found that he could find most of the herbs on it. Only one of the main ingredients was a little tricky. The Rainbow Nebula Flower. This is a sacred herb. I'll have to spend some time looking for it. Chu Kuangren murmured. After memorizing the pill recipe, he held the Vitality Pill Tome in his hand and played with it for a while. From his point of view, this pill manual was like a Rubik's Cube. The design of the 9 squares was similar to that of a Rubik's Cube. 6 types of patterns, 9 of each pattern, were distributed in each small grid. If I'm bored in the future, I can walk around and play. Chu Kuangren smiled and kept it away. Master, this is the information about the black stain plumes. Lan Yu was holding a piece of information that she had just gotten from the Murong clan. Chu Kuangren's eyes flashed coldly. The Murong clan has paid the price. It's time to clean up the black stain plumes. Just as he said, no one could get away scot-free for bullying the Black Heaven sect, and the black stain plumes were no exception. After looking at the information, Chu Kuangren made up his mind. Come, let's go meet this black stain plumes. Chu Kuangren said as he led Lan Yu down the elusive mirage. When they reached the surface, many cultivators could not help but tremble in fear when they looked at him. Wow, this master is so handsome. There were also female cultivators who did not know much about what happened to the Murong clan. They were mesmerized by him. Some of the cultivators beside them had complicated looks on their faces. He was handsome. But this guy was too scary. 2 of the Murong clan sages had died in his hands. On the street, a cultivator in a black robe saw Chu Kuangren and a hint of fear flashed across his eyes. When he saw the direction that Chu Kuangren and Lan Yu were heading to, his expression changed and he quickly left. The black-robed cultivator came to an empty street and took out a token. Then, the space in front of him started to ripple. The black-robed cultivator quickly walked in and arrived at a creepy and eerie street. It was so dark that it looked like the ghost street. The passers-by were all wearing masks. The black-robed cultivator also took out a mask and put it on. He then quickly ran to a palace at the end of the street. Inside, a cultivator with a ferocious ghost mask was sitting on a throne, flipping through various books. These books recorded all kinds of shady businesses. Of course, they were also the businesses that the black stain plumes relied on to make a living. Replying to the leader, Chu Kuangren has gotten off the ferry boat. The leader's hand trembled when he heard that. What else? He and a woman are heading towards the ghost street. Alright, I got it. Leader, since Chu Kuangren has come to the Ghost Street, shouldn't we avoid him for a while? We don't want to start a conflict with him. Why would we want to have a conflict with him? The Black Stain Plume's leader said nonchalantly. But the outside world is saying that Chu Kuangren turned the Murong clan upside down because of one of his junior brothers. Oh, interesting. Chu Kuangren seems to be a loyal person. But what does this have to do with us? The Black Stain Plume's leader still did not notice anything. The black-robed cultivator bit the bullet and said, that junior brother of his seems to be the Murong Yu that the Murong clan wanted us to cripple some time ago. The Black Stain Plume's leader dropped the book in his hand and said in disbelief, say that again. Murong Yu was crippled by us. He's Chu Kuangren's junior brother, and Chu Kuangren caused such a ruckus in the Murong clan because of him. Quick, close the Ghost Street. Give me a ferry boat, I want to leave now. The Black Stain Plume's leader was scared out of his wits. He did not care much about Chu Kuangren causing a ruckus in the Murong clan. After all, he was only involved in some shady business. No matter how much trouble the sage orthodoxies caused, it had nothing to do with him. However, he did not expect that this matter was related to the Black Stain Plumes. Just when the Black Stain Plume's leader was about to run away in fear, the entire Ghost Street suddenly shook violently. A crack began to appear in the dark sky of the Ghost Street, and the usually dark Ghost Street began to be flooded with blinding sunlight. The expressions of the people on the Ghost Street changed slightly as they looked up into the sky. The enchanted boundary of the Ghost Street has been broken. Who did this? What's going on? How can someone destroy the enchanted boundary of the Ghost Street? Are they trying to make the entire Black Warrior domain their enemy? Who dares to do such a thing? The crack grew bigger and bigger until it reached the entire sky. Finally, the dark sky collapsed. Chapter 214. On Ghost Street, Chu Kuangren stood in the air. Below him, a large piece of the void was distorting. It was an invisible enchanted boundary, and at that moment, cracks were spreading on this enchanted boundary before it finally shattered. Ghost Street was completely revealed to Chu Kuangren. Chu Kuangren sneered as he looked at the masked cultivators below him. The Ghost Street, the Ghost Street. It really is a place where demons and demons gather. Compared to the other three domains, the demonic cultivators in the Black Warrior domain were much more active. They had even formed the strange phenomenon of Ghost Street. The so-called Ghost Street was a gathering point for demonic cultivators. It was jointly created by demonic cultivator organizations in the Black Warrior domain and could be found in many places in the Black Warrior domain. Destroying Ghost Street was equivalent to making an enemy of the entire Black Warrior domain's demonic orthodoxies. Even some sage orthodoxies would not dare to go against them. The Black Stain Plumes was located in Ghost Street. At that moment, in the Black Stain Plumes at the end of Ghost Street, the Black Stain Plumes lord's face turned pale when he saw that Ghost Street's enchanted boundary had been destroyed. Lunatic, this lunatic. He's declaring war on the Black Warrior domain's demonic orthodoxies. How could he do such a thing just to deal with my Black Stain Plumes? Chu Kuangren slowly landed on the ground of Ghost Street. His footsteps were light, but it was as if the earth itself could not bear it. The moment he landed, the entire Ghost Street shook. He was dressed in a spotless white robe. His face was peerless, and with an ancient sword hanging on his waist, he looked like an otherworldly immortal. He looked completely out of place in this Ghost Street that was filled with demons and demons. At that moment, the immortal had descended on Ghost Street, and the demonic cultivators were terrified. Destroying Ghost Street's enchanted boundary is a public declaration of war against the entire Black Warrior domain's demonic orthodoxies. Chu Kuangren, how dare you? A masked demonic cultivator could not help but yell. The others don't dare to speak, but you're howling here. You're courting death like this, Chu Kuangren said calmly. He gently raised his hand, and a terrifying human mountain strength erupted. That demonic cultivator was killed before he could even scream. The rest of the people saw that and immediately fell silent. They had long heard of Chu Kuangren, especially the incident where he slaughtered 100,000 demonic cultivators at the Weeping Demon Mountain. That incident was widely spread among the Firmament Star's demonic orthodoxies, and it struck fear into their hearts. And just yesterday, the other party had even killed 2 sages. It could be said that all demonic cultivators were extremely afraid of him. Even though they knew that the other party was the one who destroyed Ghost Street and was declaring war on all the demonic cultivators in the Black Warrior domain, they still didn't dare to move. Chu Kuangren ignored the others and set his sights on a tall black building in the distance. On the signboard of the tall building, there were 3 big words. Blackstain Plume's Tower. This was the goal of his trip. He brought Lan Yu with him towards the Blackstain Plume's Tower. At the same time, the 9 Heaven Sword Prison phenomenon was deployed. 12 pillars of sword chi soared into the sky and surrounded the Blackstain Plume's Tower, ensuring that no one could leave. Chu Kuangren, what do you plan to do? The master of the Black Feather Tower walked out and asked loudly. Chu Kuangren laughed when he heard that. You guys crippled my junior brother's cultivation, and now you're asking me what I want? That's business. Some deals, once done, will lead to death. Chu Kuangren's eyes gradually turned cold. Chu Kuangren, we, the Blackstain Plume's Tower, belong to the Underworld Palace, which is the largest demonic organization in the Black Warrior domain and even the entire Firmament Star. Even sage orthodoxies are wary of us. Do you really want to fight to the death with us? Seeing that Chu Kuangren was not going to let him off the hook, the Blackstain Plume's Tower Master immediately brought out his biggest backer, which was the largest demonic organization, the Underworld Palace. Chu Kuangren was slightly stunned when he heard that, and then he chuckled. What a coincidence, the Underworld Palace really wants to fight me, huh? Every time the demonic cultivators cause trouble, the Underworld Palace's people will be there too. Then today, I must tear down this Blackstain Plume's Tower. Chu Kuangren said indifferently and then raised his hand to attack. A majestic Daoist rhyme manifested into an ancient godly mountain in the void, and it came crashing down on the Blackstain Plume's Tower Master's body. The Blackstain Plume's Tower Master was sent flying and crashed into the Blackstain Plume's Tower behind him. Both he and the tower were destroyed. One by one, the assassins rushed out of the Blackstain Plume's Tower and stared at Chu Kuangren with fear before they scattered in all directions. They knew that they were no match for Chu Kuangren. Against Chu Kuangren, they could only escape. A wise choice, but it's a shame that when I arrived, the only path left for you was death. Majestic sword chi erupted and swept in all directions. Each streak of sword chi was a doppelganger. Thousands of sword chi transformed into thousands of clones and attacked. The surrounding assassins were terrified when they saw that, and they quickly ran for their lives. What kind of technique is this? D****. Oh God, let's go. Wait, this space has been sealed. It's those sword chi pillars, it's his Daoist physique transformation. We can't escape anymore. Then let's fight it out with him. These assassins were all ruthless people who lived on the edge of a knife. When they first saw Chu Kuangren, they knew that they were no match for him, so they wanted to escape. However, now that they could no longer escape, their ferocity was aroused. In an instant, all kinds of killing techniques were launched towards Chu Kuangren. However, Chu Kuangren stood still. Their killing techniques were all destroyed by the sword chi clones, so they could not hurt him at all. The sword chi clones and the group of assassins engaged in a fierce battle. Countless surges of chi shot out, and the whole Ghost Street became extremely chaotic. Some of the cultivators who were caught up in the battle even cursed angrily. However, Chu Kuangren did not care about that at all. They were a group of demonic cultivators anyway, so it did not matter if they died. Come, Lan Yu, sit. Chu Kuangren took out 2 stools out of nowhere and gave one to Lan Yu. The 2 of them then sat at the side and watched the battle like they were watching a show. Master, your sword chi clones are so powerful. Lan Yu looked at the sky full of clones and could not help but exclaim. Heh, it's not too bad. Chu Kuangren chuckled. The cultivators beside him could not help but roll their eyes when they heard that. The sword chi clones were so mysterious that they had never seen or heard of them before. Yet, Chu Kuangren thought it was only not too bad. This was 2F** king infuriating. Not long after, the group of sword chi clones had killed all the Blackstain Plume's assassins. Chu Kuangren then put away the emperor technique. Let's go in and have a look. Chu Kuangren brought Lan Yu into the Blackstain Plumes and looted the place. There was nothing valuable, just some soul stones and the like. After they were done, the two of them left Ghost Street. Once they were far away, the demonic cultivators who were hiding slowly emerged and looked at the direction where the two of them left with terrified expressions. There was still a huge amount of murderous chi lingering in the air. This Chu Kuangren is too scary. Yeah, he destroyed the Blackstain Plumes just like that. But this time, he's wreaking havoc on Ghost Street, which means he's made an enemy out of the Black Warrior domain's demonic orthodoxies. That's right. Besides, the Blackstain Plumes belongs to the Underworld Palace. I wonder what the Underworld Palace will do to Chu Kuangren. The crowd discussed among themselves. In less than 2 days, Chu Kuangren had killed the Murong clan sage, destroyed the Blackstain Plumes, wreaked havoc on Ghost Street, and made an enemy out of the entire Black Warrior domain's demonic orthodoxies. News of this spread like wildfire. It was unknown how many forces were scared half to death. Chu Kuangren's name shook the world. Chapter 215. What? Chu Kuangren killed the Murong clan sage. When the news reached the Azure Dragon domain's sage orthodoxy's ears, everyone was dumbfounded. Some of them were so shocked that their Daoist core almost collapsed. What kind of people were sages? They were the pinnacle existences in Firmament Star. Nowadays, the Firmament Star's sage orthodoxy's leaders were all honorable supremes, and the sages were always behind the scenes. However, Chu Kuangren, who had just taken over the Black Heavens sect for a few days, had gone to the Black Warrior domain and killed 2 of the Murong clan sages? This news was too shocking. The Scarlet Phoenix domain, White Tiger domain, and Black Warrior domain were still fine. Although they were shocked, they did not do anything. However, the Jianghu Valley, Sacred Lands of Serene Wisdom, Thunder Temple, and other sage orthodoxies that were in the same domain as the Black Heavens sect were panicking. So were the sages behind them. Chu Kuangren could kill a sage. If they accidentally fell out with the Black Heavens sect in the future, Chu Kuangren alone could topple an orthodoxy without the sages doing anything. Who could stop him? All the orthodoxies sent out their own scouts to gather information. Soon, specific information about Chu Kuangren killing the Murong clan's 2 sages was presented to the sage orthodoxies. When they found out that Chu Kuangren was there to seek justice for a disciple, they were shocked. When they found out that the disciple was now useless and worthless, they were even more dumbfounded. Chu Kuangren did not hesitate to go to war with the Murong clan and kill 2 of their sages for a worthless piece of trash. F***CK. Was Chu Kuangren a lunatic? However, it was precisely because of this that everyone was even more afraid of Chu Kuangren. They did not know what kind of reason a lunatic like Chu Kuangren would one day do. This guy did not play by the rules at all. Try not to get into conflict with the Black Heavens sect from now on. Yeah, Chu Kuangren would do something like this just for a crippled disciple. Who knows what kind of crazy things he'll do if he really offends the Black Heavens sect. D***M it, how can there be such a lunatic in this world? A lunatic isn't scary. The scary thing is that this lunatic has the ability to kill a sage. Chu Kuangren, that's the right name. Isn't the Black Heavens sect fighting with us for the soulstone mine in the south? Pass down the order. Stop fighting and let them have it. What the hell is this? Within the Azure Dragon domain, all the sage orthodoxies were making their moves. Their fear of Chu Kuangren had reached its peak. Even the sages were the same. Besides the Azure Dragon domain, the demonic organizations in the Black Warrior domain had also found out about Chu Kuangren destroying Ghost Street's enchanted boundary and annihilating the Blackstain plumes. However, these demonic cultivators were afraid of Chu Kuangren's strength and dared not make a move. They turned their attention to the underworld, the largest and most mysterious demonic organization in Firmament Star, hoping that they could come up with a solution. Unfortunately, there was no response from Hell for several days in a row. His attitude made everyone understand. The Underworld Palace was also afraid of Chu Kuangren. All of a sudden, Chu Kuangren became a taboo in the entire demonic orthodoxy. Even his Black Heaven sect and its affiliated forces had become a forbidden land in the eyes of the entire demonic orthodoxy. The illusionary mirage sailed above the sea of clouds. At this moment, Chu Kuangren and the others were already on their way back. This illusionary mirage is truly magnificent. Black Heaven's second forefather was on the illusionary mirage as well. He could not help but be amazed as he looked at the palaces and pavilions. This illusionary mirage really belongs to the little guy. Yes, I obtained it by chance. Lan Yu nodded slightly and said what Chu Kuangren had taught her. Although she felt that it was no different from not saying anything. As expected. Black Heaven's second forefather rolled his eyes when he heard her explanation. By chance? Which one of them was not obtained by chance? Like Honorable Xianxia, Elder Rian, and the others, Black Heaven's second forefather could not help but want to complain, but he did not pursue the matter. Inside one of the pavilions of the illusionary mirage, Chu Kuangren was sitting cross-legged, cultivating. He had killed 2 sages in a row on this trip to the Murong clan, which was a huge drain on him. Moreover, he had a grudge with the Black Warrior domain's demonic orthodoxies. However, it was all worth it to him. Firstly, he had helped Murong Xian seek justice. Secondly, he had shocked the various forces. Thirdly, he had refined 2 sage bodies, which had stabilized his honorable realm cultivation and even helped him achieve a breakthrough. Now, he was in the mid-stage honorable realm. 2 sage bodies only helped me increase my cultivation by 1 small realm. It seems like it gets harder and harder to increase my cultivation as I progress. Especially with my foundation, breaking through requires more spiritual power and resources than the average cultivator. It's not easy at all. Chu Kuangren forging a supreme foundation was indeed a good thing. However, the only drawback was that to break through, he would need to spend 10 times or even 10 times more spiritual power than the average cultivator. However, every breakthrough would give him a terrifying increase in combat strength. Compared to that small drawback was nothing. Not to mention that Chu Kuangren had a cheat like the fantasy roulette. Others might lack resources, but he had never lacked anything along the way. Now, let's think about how to repair Murong Xian's spiritual mound. Where should I find a sage-grade herb like the 7-colored nebula flower? Chu Kuangren murmured. Why don't I try using the treasure locating skill? With that thought, Chu Kuangren activated the treasure locating skill. He did not hold out much hope. Although the treasure locating skill could search for treasures in the world, there was a limit to its range. He could not possibly find the sage-grade herb nearby. Sure enough, it was the first time he searched. He did not find much, but he did find a few ordinary treasures. He did not pay much attention to them, nor did he take them. The elusive mirage sailed for a while more. He activated the treasure locating skill again. This time, he did not hold out much hope. 30,000 miles south, there is an honorable supreme herb, the 6 ons herb. 30,000 miles south, there is an honorable supreme herb, the coiling dragon flower. 30,000 miles south, there is a sage supreme herb, the sage supreme herb, the 7-colored nebula flower. The treasure locating skill's feedback came. Chu Kuangren's expression suddenly became a little strange. F***ck me. There really was a 7-colored nebula flower. His luck points were maxed out. The lucky halo was amazing. According to the treasure locating skill's feedback, it was not only the 7-colored nebula flower but also a large number of other supreme herbs. They were all gathered in the same place, which was about 30,000 miles south. 30,000 miles south, is there anything special about that place? Chu Kuangren murmured. No matter what, since there was news about the seven-colored nebula flower, Chu Kuangren had to check it out no matter what. Hence, he immediately changed the direction of the elusive mirage. On the elusive mirage, Black Heaven's second forefather and the others also noticed the elusive mirage's change of direction. At that moment, Chu Kuangren just happened to walk out of the pavilion. Master, where are we going? To the south, to look for herbs to heal Murong Xian's injuries. Beside him, Black Heaven's second forefather was surprised. Do you know how to heal a spiritual mound injury? Yes. Black Heaven's second forefather was shocked. Didn't you say you were helpless 2 days ago and that you wanted to study it? Yeah, I've researched it. That fast? Black Heaven's second forefather was stunned. Chapter 2:16. Black Heaven's second forefather was stunned. Although he was not proficient in alchemy, he knew how difficult it was to heal one's spiritual mound, not to mention without the help of the pill recipe. Chu Kuangren said he wanted to research it himself. He did not think it was impossible. After all, Chu Kuangren had created too many incredible things. Just because others could not figure it out did not mean he could not. However, this was too fast. He just mentioned it 2 days ago, and now he had already figured it out? Black Heaven's second forefather felt like it was child's play. Spiritual mound injuries had been a problem for the alchemy world for countless years. Countless alchemists had tried to solve it but to no avail. Yet now, Chu Kuangren had figured it out in 2 days. Damn, is he even human? Suddenly, he recalled Chu Kuangren's astonishing feat of creating 12 sage techniques consecutively within half a day. He felt that it was not that hard to understand anymore. Monster. Black Heaven's second forefather muttered. In Firmament Star, other than the sage orthodoxies and sages, there were also some rogue sages who did not create or attach themselves to any forces. For example, the Azure Dragon Domain's Whitelock Sage. In the Black Warrior Domain, there was also such a sage. Black Warrior Domain, somewhere in a valley. Today, many cultivators had gathered outside the valley. These people looked into the valley with anticipation. I can't believe that Fairfrost Sage would invite us here to study the Iron Alchemy Pill Scroll. This is great. I heard that the Iron Alchemy Pill Scroll contains the inheritance of an alchemy grandmaster. Whoever can complete the 88 incomplete pill recipes will be able to obtain the inheritance. When that happens, it'll be amazing. I know. That's an alchemy grandmaster we're talking about. Even sages have to treat him with respect. If I can complete the pill recipes on it, TSK. You're daydreaming. At that moment, an old man was escorted by a group of people. This old man was dressed in a white robe and looked kind, but the surrounding alchemists were very respectful towards him. Master Li, it's been a long time. I didn't expect to see Master Li here. I still remember Master Li's elegant demeanor when he was refining the Supreme Treasure Pill. Master Li is our Black Warrior Domain and even the entire Firmament Star's alchemy world. With you here, the pill recipes of the Iron Alchemy Pill Scroll will definitely be completed. That's right. You flatter me too much. You all think too highly of me. Although Grandmaster Li tried his best to restrain himself, it was obvious from the smile on his face that he was very happy with everyone's compliments. At this time, not far away, another person walked over under the compliments of the crowd. This person was Grandmaster Gu Jiang, who had already joined the mysterious Sky Sect. Grandmaster Li looked over, and his expression was a little ugly. Oh, I was wondering who it was. It turns out to be Grandmaster Gu. Grandmaster Li said sarcastically. Gu Jiang looked over and his face stiffened. He then snorted and said, Master Li, I didn't expect you to come too. Since the Fairfrost Sage has opened up the Iron Alchemy Pill Scroll, how could I not come? On the other hand, Master Gu, I heard that you've joined the Black Heaven sect a few days ago. I didn't expect you to come all the way here as well. It must have been tough on your old bones. Same here. Speaking of which, Master Gu has always prided himself on being virtuous and never joined any forces. Why would he join the Black Heaven sect? It has nothing to do with you. Humph. The atmosphere between the two grandmasters was somewhat tense. The other alchemists around them began to whisper among themselves. I heard that Master Li and Master Gu are not on good terms. Seems like it's true. Isn't that so? Those two have been fighting for hundreds of years. What's going on between them? Tisk tsk, two tigers cannot live on the same mountain. Both of them are well-known figures in the alchemy world, and they often have different opinions on alchemy. They've been fighting each other ever since they were young, and as time went by, they became like this. People of the same trade are always enemies. Among the crowd, two of them looked at Gujiang with surprise in their eyes. Their faces were shrouded in a faint glow of spiritual power, making it hard for people to see their faces clearly. However, the faint outline of their faces was already breathtaking enough. They were two peerless figures. Those two were Chu Kuangren and Lan Yu. The reason why they had to hide their faces was because both of them were too outstanding, especially Chu Kuangren. That was why they did not want to cause a commotion. I didn't expect to meet Master Gu here. Chu Kuangren murmured. Then, he retracted his gaze and looked into the depths of the valley. According to his treasure-locating skill, the seven-colored nebula flower was in the depths of this valley, and this place was the residence of a sage. That seven-colored nebula flower must belong to this sage as well. He would have to put in more effort to obtain such a supreme elixir. At that moment, a ray of light swept out from the valley. It was a beautiful female cultivator. She said to the crowd, "The sage invites everyone into the valley." The crowd was delighted as they entered the valley one after another. Once they entered the valley, they were instantly attracted by all kinds of exotic flowers and herbs. This is snow orchid grass. There's so much of it. Wow, a 7-petal snow lotus. Such a supreme elixir would cost at least tens of thousands of top-tier soul stones in the outside world. I can't believe there's so many of them here. Look, those are honorable supreme elixirs on the mountain walls. The crowd of alchemists exclaimed as if they had never seen such a thing before. Chu Kuangren was also quite surprised. It seems that this sage is quite proficient in planting. Along the way, the crowd saw all kinds of exotic flowers and herbs. When they arrived at an empty space in the valley, book was erected there. However, that book was too big. It was like a giant stone tablet, and there were runes written on it. However, there were many blank spaces between the runes as if they were incomplete. In front of that book sat a lady in a white dress. She had waist-length black hair, snow-white skin, delicate facial features, and a gentle temperament. It's the Fairfrost Sage. Greetings, Sage. Greetings, Sage. Facing a sage, the crowd dared not delay and quickly bowed. The Fairfrost Sage smiled at the crowd and said, "There's no need to be so courteous. I'm sure you all know why I've invited you here today. Just like all of you, I'm also an alchemist. This iron alchemy pill scroll has been in my possession for 1,000 years, but I've never been able to complete all the pill recipes. That's why I've invited all of you here to help me decipher it. I hope that with everyone's combined strength, we'll be able to reap some benefits." The Fairfrost Sage's voice was like an orchid in an empty valley that entered everyone's ears. The crowd stared at the iron alchemy pill scroll with fiery eyes. "Sage, rumor has it that this iron alchemy pill scroll contains an alchemy grandmaster's inheritance. Is it true?" At that moment, one of the alchemists mustered up the courage to ask. "Yes." The Fairfrost Sage nodded. "If someone can really complete all the pill recipes, then may I ask, who should this alchemy grandmaster's inheritance belong to?" Whoever completes the most pill recipes will be the one to claim it." The Fairfrost Sage was amused. What a joke. She had studied for 1,000 years and had only completed a dozen or so pill recipes. She did not believe that anyone could complete all the pill recipes. The reason why she invited the crowd of alchemists here today was because she wanted to borrow everyone's strength to complete as many as possible. As for completing all the pill recipes and obtaining the alchemy grandmaster's inheritance, she did not have high hopes. Where in the firmament star could there be such an alchemist? You're tuning into the Carefree Valley YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.